That's what S.E. Rin, the rank 1 player in the entire country, just said to our boy's face. She's the nation's angel, and the only thing wealthier than her is her brain. Because look at that massive forehead, bitch's brain can walk laps inside her skull. And she's still a dumb hoe because see, 5 minutes ago she was talking to him normally. Smiling, being polite, and now she's telling him she feels sick when a worthless calorie-wasting beta like him acts like they know her. And bro just stands there, doesn't say anything, pure flashbang. But what she doesn't know is that soon enough, all her posters with her big OL forehead will be taken down. And our boy's face will replace hers. Unfortunately, at this moment, he just walks back inside, pretending nothing happened. Because bro's got a face that could get him assigned a disability card and is also a rank 5 melee. Lowest rank possible, most dangerous class in the game. Since you're weak and still have to go face to face to level up. The type of player people feel bad for and would prefer to have not even awakened. But this dude found 2 shotties and built a harem from the ground up. One's a hot babe not because of this, but because she's a fire mage. And the other one is pure thickness not because of this, but because she's a tanker with some serious defense. He somehow puts together a team that does what no Korean guild could. Beat Japan's number 1, and they don't just win once. Bro was Stephen Curry, 2016 in the arena. Triplex forehead was so furious that she even hired someone to kill my bro when he was recovering in the hospital. Goddamn, can a wigga chill? All my bro wants is to get some motion with his shotties and escape poverty. Like us all, but the whole city isn't too keen on it. This begins like this. See, Gang Kyusung is just trying to survive working at this tiny company. Lucky for him, one day he wakes up as a master and gets the chance to join raids, which are all about shutting those portals down. Among healers, mages, and tankers, he levels up as a melee DPS. Which, while super common, is also the riskiest since the job is to smack the enemy up close and personal. After a few raids, Hiren convinces Kyusung to join the Master's War, leading the squad. He starts to shine with his epic strategies, putting him right in the thick of the action. So, besides focusing on winning and leveling up, he's got to deal with a mega powerful enemy, who's been wiping out guilds all over Korea. After the Korean War, the world flipped upside down. In the chaos, a soldier freezes, seeing something wild. His boss is not having it and, super mad, punches him. But the soldier just stares at the sky, where a portal to the demon world just opened up. Claws rip the sky like it's paper, and we find out these portals are everywhere and can't be busted by any modern weapon. From the portals, demonic creatures spill out, freaking everyone out. Humans lose hope, but then God starts giving some people the power to fight back. These folks are called masters, and once the first one woke up, more followed. These masters are the ones who can smash the portals to the demon world. But then, more portals start popping up randomly all over, forcing 10 masters to team up to take them down in something called a raid. With all that laid out, we meet Gankyu-sung, a worker at a small company. His life was pretty basic until he got called up for his first raid. Now, let's jump back into the action. 2 tanks sprint after someone yells for them to clear the way. Getting ready to rumble, the protagonist knows he has to nail it. He charges at the monsters, making the others turn and switch targets. The group leader gives him props for the good work, then tells the ranger to get ready to attack and the healers to use their main skills. Running, our dude remembers chatting with his teammates earlier who don't get why the leader picked him for the melee spot. Hearing he can't use aggression, Kyusung is totally pumped. In the moment, he focuses on how he got dissed at his old job and, after charging up, lands a killer blow, making his teammates' eyes go wide. He gathers energy again and, at the perfect time, lands another hit, leaving monster bits everywhere. Grinning, the glasses guy says the young dude did way more damage than expected. Shouting, the protagonist promises to keep giving it his all. The scene makes the red-haired girl crack up. Curious, she asks if he's burning too much mana, but gets no answer cause he's too busy admiring her. When pushed, our guy says he's relying on his energy, not wanting to spill the beans on his power source just yet. Not buying it, the redhead says she's been a master for 5 years and never seen anyone rely on energy like that. Wrapping up the chat, the leader says they gotta finish the fight and move on. Kyusung breathes a sigh of relief while the guy grins. After walking a bit, the glasses guy says they're about to meet the mid-boss and the final boss. So, he wants to let everyone know the final boss is probably a golem type, slow but super strong. So, the group will split up to be more efficient. Minkook, the tanker, will round up the leftover mobs for Kisu and Hiren, while the other tanker distracts the final boss, all while he keeps an eye on things. That's when the protagonist finds out he's gotta handle the main DPS of the boss mobs. A bit shocked, he asks if the guy's sure. With a nod, the mage wonders if the leader's putting too much faith in someone on their first raid. The glasses guy then says he didn't expect much from a rank 5 melee DPS, but the young dude's combat skills were on point. Plus, thanks to him, the raid time got a major speed boost, and they could totally rely on the healers. So, Q should really start believing in himself more. The battle kicks off and someone yells that Minkook needs to yank the monster from behind. Out of nowhere, Hiren gets cornered thinking fast. The leader figures maybe the girl needs to bust out her special move. The creatures charge in, but Kisu smacks them down and gives a thumbs up. The redhead thanks him and gears up to drop a massive magic spell. With a magical bracelet, the mage says she's got a surprise for the creatures. And bam, they're on fire in a flash. When the dust clears, Minkook, one of the tankers, lets out a big sigh of relief. The group leader checks in on the intermediate boss team who, after making golem bits fly everywhere, announce they're done. Pumped, the glasses guy says it's time to crush the final boss and wrap up the mission. Seeing another dude chatting with the mage, the blonde guy gets all jealous. Clueless, Kyusung asks his crew where the final boss is hiding. One of the healers suggests heading to the gate, but the leader's like nah. The final boss should be guarding it, so it being Mia is sus. Thinking hard, he wonders why no minerals were left after the creatures got wrecked, and then he yells for everyone to back off. The masters look back, and suddenly, the monster bits swirl into a tornado, revealing a giant golem. Freaked out, Hiren thinks this might be it for her. Our boy remembers his training, when his coach said he needed to be quicker. Like, 20 years ago, a satanic portal popped up, forcing powerful masters to join the raid. Everything was chill until the final boss showed up, and the group couldn't figure out the attack moves. In a flash, the battle formation crumbled, putting everyone in danger. Then Ikashohei, the only melee DPS, used his divine speed move, slicing the boss into pieces. From that day, he became a Japanese legend, and his guild blew up in fame. Which means being a speedy melee DPS is the way to shine in a life or death attack, and mastering Godspeed is key to reaching the realm of God. After all that, Kyusung charges in and smacks the golem's arm, leaving his crew speechless since he's just a grade 5 master, the lowest rank. The creature screams in pain, but the hero doesn't care and, with his sword ready, charges again, landing hit after hit until golem chunks start flying everywhere. Shouting, the leader says the enemy's outer armor is coming off, so the young dude should aim for the final boss core and strike. The mage and the archer team up and fire a flaming arrow, nailing the target. And then, all that's left is the golem's crystal. Stoked, Kisu starts cheering like crazy. Coming over, the glasses guy praises our boy for the epic work and says now it's just about sealing the gate. The blonde guy takes on the task. And as he gets closer, he shoots an arrow at the portal, making it crack and explode, lighting up the whole team. Thinking, Kyusung can't believe this is his first raid. Since months ago he was just an office assistant. Suddenly, Hiron yells his name for the 10th time. And when he finally hears her, she smiles and thanks him for saving her, then invites him to dinner as a thank you. Happier than ever, the hero says yes to the invite. When the association's bus rolls up, the leader announces everyone got a mineral. But since the crew says they don't need it, he sells all the loot. The next day, our boy wakes up in his room and grabs a snack while scrolling online. To his shock, a video of him taking down the final boss is blowing up on YouTube. Viewers are buzzing, saying the footage must be fake. The young dude decides to clap back at some rude comments while a weird feeling hits him, since tonight's the dinner with Hiron, which he totally spaced on. We see the mage fuming, like a tiny angry dog, while our boy apologizes for being late. Because it's freezing, the girl lets it slide, and they head to the restaurant. Curious, the young dude asks how old she is, and she says she's 22. When asked, he says he's 25, but let's be real, he's got the energy of a hyperactive puppy. Grinning, Hiron says she'll call him by his name, and boom, instant happiness overload for our guy. They munch on some snacks until the redheads all, oops, my bad, for posting a video of him without a heads up, blushing like a tomato. Q-Sum's all, no worries, cause that vid made him a mini celeb. The master's like, whoa, I only did it cause in my 5-year gig, never seen moves like yours. Our dude's curious if yesterday's squad is all in the same guild, and finds out they're all Phoenix Guild peeps except the girl, who's more of a solo adventurer, jumping into raids like a wild card. Chat goes on till the mage is totally wasted. So our boy, who's been hyped for this meetup forever, ends up playing the hero, carrying her home, totally ignoring his coat now accessorized with puke. A few days later, he gets a call from the girl, inviting him for coffee, and when he shows up, Q-Sung meets Kim Bum-Chul, the squad leader and their raid support. The dude's pumped, saying it's an honor to team up with our guy. The redhead whispers it's her way of saying sorry for last night's chaos. Once everyone's there, the leader kicks off the briefing and tells Park to start filming. Facing the camera, he's all, this raid's a big deal cause a gate popped open in Yudo, and since many masters bailed, everyone there gets a big thank you. Our boy's thinking this ain't a briefing, more like a spotlight on him. Suddenly, everyone's all ears for Lee Se-rin, the nation's support legend. The leader's smiling, thinking she's there to cheer them on, but turns out not so much. The DBC filming duo's on a mission to snag an interview, but she's like, nah, I'm here for personal stuff. Min-Chul, Lee Se-rin's buddy, swings by to say hey to our boy, who's stoked to see him. The dude spills that the redhead was also one of his students, leaving Q-Sung totally mind-blown. He excuses himself to hire in and goes to chill with the duo. The mage watches them chat and laugh, while the leader's puzzled why she's so ticked off. After a bit, the redhead's got another gig and starts her goodbyes. Our boy gets to walk her to the car, mentally thanking his old teacher, and wondering if he'll score her digits, but outside, Lee Se-rin drops a bomb, saying if it weren't for the association, she wouldn't even chat with folks like him, adding she pities his future, and he should pretend not to know her if they cross paths, cause it grosses her out alone. Our guy's fists are clenched in rage as he heads back to the cafe. Acting like nothing went down, the buff dude mentions the girl visits him for advice sometimes, and if our guy keeps grinding, he could become a top-tier master. Our boy thanks him for the pep talk and says bye, while secretly plotting to hit rank 1 no matter what. Next stop, the raid zone inside a sketchy, fallen apart building. The cameraman's worried, asking his boss if they should use a drone, since regular folks aren't allowed in places like that. Park's chill, saying to get killer footage, rules are just suggestions. After some more trekking, the journalist tells his sidekick to halt. They stumble upon a crew battling some beasties. The glasses guy tells the chubby one to zoom in on the mages or rangers for that epic shot. Out of nowhere, a girl gets saved by something. The cameraman's baffled, missing what saved the healer. The journalist, calling him a newbie, insists it was the wizard who did the saving. The dark-haired guy keeps rolling until he notices there's no wizard in sight. Park's like, in that case, focus on the ranger. After the dust settles, the healer patches up her buddy, then thanks Q-Sung for the save. Our boy's all, just doing my thing, while replaying Lee Se-rin's words in his head, trying to squash the anger bubbling up. The leader rolls up with the squad, all chill, saying he's good, so things must have gone alright. Turns out, they ran into a gnarly monster on the other side, but hey, teamwork makes the dream work, and they took it down. Hiron strolls over, asking why the main dude's all deep in thought. He shrugs it off, but the mage isn't buying it. Still lurking, the journalist spills that the crew's about to slap a seal to ID the final boss before shutting the gate. The duo bounces from their hiding spot to find a new hangout. Meanwhile, Bum-Chul's divvying up roles, saying the tankers and melee fighters gotta handle the ads. The rangers are on boss duty, and the magic users are multitasking. Plus, since the press is all eyes on them, they gotta put on a killer show. Elsewhere, the cameraman wonders if filming from up there is gonna be a pain. Park's like, nah. This is where the final boss pops up. Then, bam! Something wild happens, and his eyes go wide. When asked, he spills that the final boss is humanoid. Super tricky to beat cause they're smart, unlike the usual brainless monsters which spells trouble. On the ground, the raid leader's frozen, realizing what they're up against. The humanoid gives them the stink eye, and the leader tells the tankers to step up, trying to keep it cool. One dude charges in, but doesn't even scratch the enemy. Time for the rest to jump in. Following orders, the rangers get ready to fire. The creature sees the arrows coming and, with a flick of the wrist, throws up a barrier, catching Bum Chul off guard. The arrows go boom on the shield, and fear creeps into the crew. The tanker yells, asking why his buddy's just standing there watching from above. The journalist figures this fight's gonna be tougher than they thought, meaning if one thing goes south, the raid's toast. Especially since, with this boss, usual tricks won't cut it, and the DPS are in danger. Just trying to stay alive. Curious, the cameraman asks if his boss thinks the attack's gonna flop. After a pause, Park says the only way to win is if someone takes one for the team. Feeling the heat, a ranger steps up. The humanoid charges her, and the tanker shouts for her to bail. But she doesn't, and bam, she gets hit hard. The healer checks her out, says she's okay, but out cold. The journalist, pulling his hair, says the odds of failing just shot up. Still filming, the chubby guy jokes if that's why the dude's skin's not looking great. Park shouts that if they fail, the gate's gonna go full Lucifer, and everyone'll be toast in 30 minutes. In the fight, the tanker realizes he's out of mana, while the leader's stressing about what to do. The humanoid goes for the healer, who's helping the ranger. Luckily, the other tanker swoops in with her shield just in time. The press duos stoked the enemy, ticked off, strikes. But the girl dodges and counters, making the humanoid eat dirt. Everyone's shook, even the leader who had her on mob duty. Q-Song wraps up his part, showing that with the girl, they're an unstoppable pair. Sweating bullets. Bum Chul's like, who are these two? The monster's not happy about the smackdown it got. From above, Park sees the creatures getting stronger, but maybe letting it burn out is the play, as long as the tanker can hang in there. The humanoid charges the girl, who braces with her shield. Seeing her hold her ground, the journalist says it's go time for someone to strike. In the air, our guy gears up for a hit but gets blocked by a barrier. Still, he goes ham with sword strikes, pushing the creature to its limits. To dodge, a sphere wraps around it. And when the dust settles, everyone's staring at the enemy, chilling in the crater it made. With the creature totally wiped out, the journalists all, yo, we might actually win this thing. But then the cameraman's like, both the melee fighter and the tanker are looking super tired too. Thinking hard, the protagonist admits he's running low on energy, but out of nowhere, the short-haired girl pops up with a genius idea. A bit further away, Bum Chul and the healer are busy helping the other tanker get back on his feet. Once that's done, Q-Song's buddy rushes over to spill the beans on her plan. Still chilling in the crater, the humanoid suddenly gets its mojo back and charges in for another round. A squad gets into position and bam, the clash is on. Going all out, the tanker fights to hold his ground, while the leader's mulling over the girl's plan to kick things off with the rangers and mages dealing some damage. With that, he gives the green light, and the mage and ranger team up to launch a fiery arrow. Park's all jittery, saying long-range attacks are a total waste. Q-Song takes off, ready to make the most of the creature's downtime while it builds a new barrier. Turns out, the plan needs him and the tanker to be in perfect sync speed-wise. So, the young girl steps up as a launch pad for our dude to leap from. Everyone's jaws drop seeing the plan unfold. Flat on the ground, the protagonist's like, nope, not doing that again, my whole body feels like jelly. Grinning, Park asks if his guy caught it all on camera. But nope, he got distracted, sparking a mini argument. Yelling, the journalist, like, dude, you can't just say sorry for that, but hey, at least we're alive then. The scene shifts to a place where things didn't go so hot. Grabbing the protagonist by the neck, some guys all, got any last words? Covered in strawberry juice, Q-Song's struggling to breathe. Suddenly, he jolts awake in his bed, realizing it was just a wild nightmare. After chugging some water, the young dude's relieved and decides to get up. With coffee brewing, he tunes into the news until Hiron calls, asking where he's at. Our guy's like, chillin' at home. And the mage flips out, reminding him it's the big weekend, so he better hustle. At a restaurant, the mage is stoked about the mountain of food in front of her, totally clueless. The protagonist's like, why are we even here? The redhead spills that she's gearing up for the upcoming Masters War. The protagonist's like, you know you need 10 people for that, right? Nodding, the young woman says she wanted to lock in someone first before rounding up the rest. The boy's curious who that someone is and finds out it's him. Nervous, our dude's like, I never signed up for this, but with a serious look, he admits he's just a bit lost. The mage explains she thinks they can snag at least 3 wins. The catch is, it's super tough for solo masters to beat the guilds they train with. So, she's been expanding her network during raids, scouting for powerful masters. The young woman reveals she's built a master's network dictionary over 5 years, and the boy's in. It has the one who escaped the jaws of death. The protagonist gives a sheepish grin and learns he's footing the bill for their feast. Later, Hiron's freaking out on the phone. Kyusung tells her to chill, suggesting they can still find people online. The young woman says that's a last-ditch effort because it's hard to gauge master skills that way, meaning she might have to ditch the plan. The protagonist's like, why? It's not your first war. The mage explains she's tried 3 times, all epic fails, which is why she's stuck at the same rank for 5 years. Seeing the young man's puzzled, she asks if he trained with the association and, upon hearing yes, says her skills improved slowly back then. All thanks to the mineral-rich environment. But the Master's War is way bigger. Our guy asks if more participation means more power and finds out, yep, but losing means everything vanishes due to the fixed mineral limit law. Intrigued, he says he needs to hit the bathroom and gets orders from the mage to zoom back as soon as possible. On the way, our boys stoke to bump into someone. Meanwhile, Hiron's solo, wondering where they'll find more peeps for the war until the protagonist pops up with a short-haired tanker grinning. The young woman says it's awesome to meet the redhead. Kyusung beams at the mage, who gets the vibe and grins back. With everyone chilling, the tanker finally intros herself as Yuri. Pumped. The redhead asks if she's joining the Master's War, and when she says yes, the duo's eyes light up like Christmas. Hiron says they just gotta find the rest of the squad. Our boy suggests hitting up the missing folks, but seeing the mage is bummed. The short-haired girl asks what's up, explaining. The boy says they planned, then asks if she knows any master. Yuri's like, nope. After a sec, the protagonist asks the redhead about the dudes from her first raid. Straight up, the mage says Myung swore off Master's Wars forever. Still, the young man thinks it's worth a shot. Hiron agrees and starts dialing. Right then, the tanker seizes the moment to ask if the two are a thing, shaking his head. The protagonist says he just met the red-haired girl and, switching gears, asks how many raids she's done. When she says 4, he asks how long she's been awakened. No hesitation. She says 7 years. Our boy's thinking this convo's turning into an interrogation. The mage comes back looking bummed. Kyusung says it's cool, they'll keep searching. But the redhead spills that Myung's in, but weirdly asked who else is joining. The protagonist says that's normal, but the young woman says once she told him, he was all in chill. Our boy says they just need to write it up. After the chat, the trio plans to meet up in Suwon the next day. Somewhere else, a red-haired dude asks his buddy who called grinning. The glasses guy says he doesn't know, but he's hyped to join the war with Kyusung next day. The protagonist and the mage meet up. The young man sees his buddies super hyped. A bit ahead, they meet the support and the rest of the crew and head inside the venue. While filling out the forms, our boy finds out Lee Saren's in the war too and gets a bit jittery. Inside, an announcer's organizing the guilds. Shocked, the protagonist's like, whoa, never seen so many masters in one spot, and to top it off, they all look super strong. The mage yells for him not to wander off, sprinting to catch up. Our boy's thinking the only way to level up is by joining the war, which Saren thinks he's not ready for. Also rolling up are Park and the cameraman. The announcer says the war's kicking off soon. Seeing they're heading to Zone B, the dark-haired guy asks if they're not covering Saren. The journalist says that's the plan. Then he asks why they're gonna Zone B and finds out his boss knows a killer spot near Zone B with a perfect view of Zone A. Grinning. The cameraman says no matter how hard he tries, he can't match the man's skills turning around. Park says skills aren't the only thing keeping him alive in this biz. Being sneaky helps too. The duo keeps walking until the cap guy calls the journalist to check out the masters who did the last attack they filmed. He says this means a big showdown's coming. Annoyed, the journalist says even so. Everyone there's low rank and the man's apology must have been tiny, 'cause he's been saying dumb stuff lately. We jump to the Zone C locker room. Walking in, Hiron comments on how the place is a dump. Agreeing, Kisu says, as usual, low rankers get the short end of the stick. Our boy asks if they know who they're up against. The redhead checks her phone and doesn't look thrilled. They're up against the Iku Guild from Japan. The news leaves everyone shook. The blonde kid's all jittery, asking who they're up against next, and finds out it's the Iku Guild. Mayon's just chilling while the ranger's bummed he can't level up this year cause of these tough opponents. Kyusung's all curious, wondering if this guild's really that up. Heron's like, yup, Iku's the biggest, baddest guild in Japan and having 10 players is just bad luck. The glasses dude rolls up and tells everyone to get ready. Meanwhile, Park sneaking into a no-go zone even though it feels sketchy. The cameraman just follows orders and slips through the door elsewhere. Some dudes announcing which guilds are doing the biometric exam. Inside a capsule, the main guy's thinking how weird this is until he's told to open his eyes. The announcer says when all group members are out, the match is over. With eyes wide, our boy checks out the battlefield, thinking it's go time. He yells for the healers to light up the place. A young dude sends a light ball sky high. Yuri's like, for tankers incoming. Kyusung takes charge, telling the mage in support what to do, saying he and Yuri will handle the sorcerers and then take out the healers. The trio's off, and the short-haired girl stays back to alert when the rivals show up. In the middle of the chase, the main guy hears a boom and knows the fight's on. He's thinking if all goes to plan, they got this. The enemy team rolls up until something pops up in the sky. The mage stops, starts casting a spell, but bam! Something slices him in half. It's our main dude, taking out a guild member in seconds. He shouts for the others to handle the rest. The trio's running again, and Yuri senses a mage about 50 meters ahead. Our boy says he'll go first, so she should boost him while the healer syncs up with his launch, casting a bonus the other way. Even thinking it's a mana waste, the young guy agrees, but thinks if Mayong was boss, he'd have him guarding the base. Kyusung yells it's go time. Jumps using the tanker's shield, not knowing the healer's got other plans. Enemies start running, and a red-haired guy says their rear's exposed cause the mage is down. The main guy figures the healer just needs to distract the enemies as planned. Jumping again, he shouts for the young guy to act, but realizes he's talking to himself. The tanker shows up and saves him from arrows. After landing, he thanks for the save, but the young woman says it's too soon. They're surrounded. The healer's running to catch up with a group. Confused, Kisu asks why the young guy's back, while Hiron's like, can't you see we're working hard here? Mayong shows up and asks what Hwang Jongwook's doing there. Hearing the scoop, he yells the plan's a bust. Everyone should join Kyusung as soon as possible, like yesterday. Everyone's running, and the healer's left behind, looking like he regrets his choice. Up ahead, they run into 3 enemy tankers. Back to the main guy and Yuri. The red-haired guy is thinking the young woman's a beast tanker, then lines up another arrow shot, which misses for the 6th time thanks to her shield. Seeing his buddy struggle, our boy is wishing the healer was there. He shouts for her to hang on for 2 more shots. She warns she's her special move. Suddenly, she's glowing in light armor, leaving Kyusung amazed with no choice. He says he'll prep his special move too. Seeing this, the enemy ranger decides to do the same. All to wrap up the battle fast. Elsewhere, Park and the cameraman reach their spot. The place has a killer view of all the zones. The cap guy is surprised, asking if the plan's gonna work. The journalist's annoyed, saying he's being a total noob again, then says this is a virtual space cooked up by genius engineers using that rare mineral on the ceiling, a mineral that's super rare, only found in raids tougher than Lucifer's level. After dropping that knowledge bomb, he wonders why his employees slacking off. Startled, the guy remembers he's supposed to be recording. Grabbing the camera, he asks where to point it. Park, fuming, asks if he forgot they're shooting a special edition of Liesi Rin. The cameraman apologizes, saying he just wanted to know which zone and battle arena. After getting the info, the journalist wonders if the guy in the cap is messing with him on purpose. Suddenly, the man looks over and asks if he should really film battle arena 2 inches zona, since it's totally empty. Looking down, the glasses guy wonders how the match is already over, and remembering how he hyped it up to the director, realizes he's totally toast now. Trying to stay positive, the cameraman suggests filming the group that led the Wado raid. Terrified, Park tells him to do whatever he wants. Back on the battlefield, the red-haired ranger just fired off his special move. Yuri's all set, waiting for the impact. When it hits, she stands strong. Behind her, Kyusung's praying. She holds on a bit longer, as his energy is almost fully charged. When the dust clears, the tanker is still standing, leaving the enemy totally baffled. Furious, He thinks there's no way she withstood his move, then tells his buddies to give all the mana they've got with no other choice. The duo obeys, and the ranger fires another deadly shot. As the arrows are about to hit Yuri, our boy's ready and charges at the enemies at full speed. The trio watches in shock as he closes in, but they can't stop him and get wiped out in one hit. The scene makes the tanker grin. Exhausted, the protagonist figures it's just about mopping up the last enemies, but surprise, surprise. The announcer declares the match over and Gangmoon the winner. Happy, he turns to his ally to celebrate, but she's on the ground with Yuri in his arms. Kyu-sung asks if she's okay. She says she's fine and can reach the bioskinification system herself. The protagonist tells her not to worry. He's got her back, so he picks up the tanker and gets ready to head back after some walking. Finally, the rest of the crew shows up. Myung's glad they're okay. While Hyron wonders why he's carrying the tanker, our boy starts sweating bullets as the mage gives him the stink eye. Smiling, he says he's doing it because Yuri took a hit for him, then says it was thanks to her they won, even with some unexpected twists. Hwang Jong-wook looks down, embarrassed, while the protagonist loudly explains the tanker took the hits for him. The girl tells him to drop it and keep moving. Annoyed, the redhead jokes, telling him not to melt the situation, watching from above. The cameraman announces he's done recording. Park doesn't react much, thinking about how to explain this to the director, leaving the guy in the cap puzzled. We jump to the AQ building where someone asks if the Master's War is going well. Seated, an Aqua Guild guy thanks the young woman for her support, but she says their relationship's just symbolic. Getting the hint, the guy talks about the first match ending and reveals all the guilds, including his loss to Japan's IQ guild. Unfazed, the white-haired girl says that's just how it goes. Then, the suit guy mentions a group among the generals beat IQ when asked. He says the team's called Gangmoon. They stare at each other for a moment until the young woman says that's interesting in the treatment waiting room. Kisu asks how they were the only winners. Heron confirms it, getting everyone hyped about the group becoming superstars. A young guy asks if this means the Aqua Guild, which Lee Sae Rin's part of, also lost. Smiling, the mage says yep, our boy stays quiet. Mayim comes over with Hwang Jong-wook and apologizes for being late. Then, he says the healer's got something to say. The young dude, feeling a bit awkward, says sorry for what he did. Kyu-sung's all chill, saying it's cool, but maybe he should say sorry to Yuri too. The girl finally bounces out of the doc's office and, when asked, says she's all good. Seeing the main guy all worried, the redhead's like, chill, dude, you're overreacting, saying the fight was in a virtual world so injuries don't count. And everyone gets a report on any boo-boos after the match. Kaisasol, looks like our boy's got a thing for the tanker. Everyone's eyeballing the young dude who's just standing there poker-faced while sweat's doing a marathon down his face. Switching gears, the glasses guy's like, hey, as a team we should know each other better. Kicking off a round of intros. Meanwhile, over at the DBC HQ, the director's like, why couldn't Park film Lee Sae Rin? The guy's shaking, trying to explain, but the mustache dude's all mad about the footage swap before he starts laughing like a maniac, leaving them both scratching their heads. The old dude then says he's got a genius employee since their team was the only one to beat the IQ Guild, and they were the only ones to catch it on film, getting props. Park and the camera guy are all thanks, boss. Chilling in his chair, the director's all nostalgic. Missing the days when he was a newbie covering attacks. The journalist's like, even if bullets are raining, nothing's stopping the cameras. Back to the battlefield. IQ Guild members are strolling through the tall grass, totally clueless that Kyu-sung's got eyes on them. Elsewhere, a guy strolls into Lee Sae Rin's room, where she's lounging in a robe. Nervous, she asks what he's doing there, ignoring her. He says for the nation's angel she looks more like a demon. With a sly grin, the redhead tells him to scram. Annoyed, guy's like, you only lost one match in the Master's War, so seeing you like this is a shocker. The girl chucks her drink glass and, huffing, asks what he knows about her deal. The guy dodges the question and says the president wants to see her, so maybe she should freshen up first. Back at the AQ building, Lee Sae Rin's chilling in a room, waiting for someone. The white-haired girl from before pops in and asks if she's got a tough problem to crack. With a smile, the girl talks about the only guild that didn't get beat, asking if that surprised the redhead. Lee stays quiet while the president says as Aka's star, she shouldn't be down. Starting a story, the girl talks about the engineer's dilemma, where an engineer is on a runaway train with a choice at a two-way track. If he goes right, one person bites it, but if he goes left, for people get hit sweating bullets. The redhead doesn't say what shed pick in that spot. The white-haired girl says she learned all life is precious, but still, for lives beat one. And if Essie Rin can't get good results with the guild's help, maybe she needs to be the engineer. That's when we find out they're sisters. Fuming, the girl says someone so useless can't claim they're related, saying she'll be watching to see who rocks the Masters War alone again. The redhead tries to keep her cool on the battlefield. The Gangmoon team scores another win, pulling in fans. Pumped, Kaisa's like, looks like we're famous now. But Hiron's like, nah, they're cheering for Q-sung after another day. The main guy says bye to the team and bumps into Lee Essie Rin outside his team's waiting room. Thinking he figures it's best to ignore her, but she calls out and asks to chat. The guy's like, got nothing to say, and keeps walking. Yelling, the girl says no matter how hard he tries, he'll always be just a nobody in the ranks. So, she'll make him feel what it's like to fall from grace. Hearing that makes our guy grin. Back on the battlefield, a young dude gets tossed by the main guy, who, still holding his sword, watches the enemy grab his shield before going in for another round. He remembers the quick chat with Lee Essie Rin and how it felt like she was yelling into the wind. So, picture this, our dude walks through the door and bam, he's swarmed by reporters all buzzing to get the scoop on his life. Q-sung's feeling all kinds of awkward. And some guy pops the question about how the squad prepped for the big day. Our boy spills the tea, saying he checked out battle vids from other countries, starting with the Iku Guild, and then got the squad synced up like a boss. Another reporter's all, is your game plan to take out the DPS first? Nodding, the young man confirms, saying to win you gotta knock out the rival team, starting with the DPS. The reporters are shook when they hear healers and supports aren't the MVPs. Our hero explains that the Masters War is all about taking down the opposition. So, certain classes can't just run the show, it's the DPS's gig to dominate. A dude's like, isn't it the healers or supports' job to handle the DPS? Q-sung's like, yeah, but our country treats supports and healers like they're gold. But he adds, in other places it's all about protecting the DPS. This isn't talked about much to keep some folks like Lee Essie Rin in the loop. His words, plus the reactions of those feeling salty, make the headlines. Back to the action, our hero decides not to sweat what others think. The tanker dodges a hit, but gets whacked again, leading to his KO. Our guy's solo for a sec until more baddies show up, ready to trap him. One dude notices Q-sung's super chill, like he's got a secret plan. He yells for his crew to get off the ground, but it's too late. Myung shows up, stoked about the leader's epic strategy, thinking our boy's like, now Hiron just needs to wipe him out for the win. But surprise, an enemy mage lands a hit and gears up for another, thinking he won't miss this time. Flashback to when Q-sung told the crew he'd be the bait since the IQ guild's getting smarter. So, Myung and Hiron's firepower had to shine, and Yuri was on mage guard duty. The girl was down with the plan, and that's a wrap on that convo. Fast forward, our boy's hurt after dodging a fatal blow at the last SEC. The glasses dude realizes he can't raise his hand, or the enemies get a free pass. Elsewhere, bodies are scattered, and the white-haired girl gears up for her next showdown. A guy yells, asking why she's doing this with no guild war declared. Grinning, she says after wiping out his crew, her guild's gonna be top 4 in Korea. The guy's mad, powers up, and says it won't be that easy, shocking the Akia guild prez on the battlefield. Yuri tells Hiron she sends his from another direction. The mage asks how many, and the tanker says about 7, but 2 are their peeps. Smiling, the redhead's like, Q-sung's plan must have worked, and leaves her protection to the girl while prepping a big spell. The duo hits their spot, and the mage starts the magic. But Yuri's worried about our hero, who's hurt in the chaos. The scene reminds her of when her bro became a melee fighter and went to his first battle. Despite his grit, an accident happened, and even with the healer and support's best efforts, he didn't make it. Snapping back, the tanker decides to move, leaving the mage exposed. An enemy's ready to strike our boy, who thinks this might be it until Yuri swoops in to save him. He's stoked but wonders if the redhead's okay. Seeing a fireball nearby, Q-sung trusts the tanker made the right call. Turning, the girl tells him to get closer. A bit away, Hiron feels exposed, knowing the other team will sense her mana still. She focuses on her attack, not noticing an enemy watching her. In the middle of the chaos, this young dude figures out the squad's plan is to wipe them all out with some epic magic move. So he's like, Time to strike back. Totally zoned in, the redhead conjures this massive fireball. Then, out of nowhere, a guy with claws like Wolverine bursts from the water and charges at the mage. No chill, she spots the threat too late and gets smacked right in the face. Myung, Yuri, and Kyu-sung just stand there watching Hiren vanish, whispering to themselves. The enemy's all smug, thinking he just needs to deal with the support and promises to take his sweet time doing it. But plot twist. The fireball didn't vanish with the girl and is now heading straight for him. The dude gets roasted by the flames and the main guy is like, gotta figure out how to make up for the missing DPS. Suddenly, he notices the flames are coming his way. The baddies start freaking out and one guy yells he doesn't want to go out like this, but his words are just air, yelling. The purple-haired dude tells his crew to bounce. Yuri's not having it, takes out the enemy who dodged the flames, and lands next to the main guy and Myung. With his shoulder back in action, Kyu-sung's ready to rumble again. Telling his crew to go all out with their mana, the duo's all in, no hesitation. Across the field, one enemy gears up to unleash his special move called Full Bloom. Everyone braces for impact, but Yuri absorbs it with her own special move. The mage targets her, but she's too quick, closing the gap in a flash. Seeing the main guy, the enemy's caught off guard. A light beam slices through, even chopping down trees. Then, the announcer calls it, declaring Gangmoon's team the champs once more. Catching his breath, our guy thinks about how wild the match was. Looking at the tanker, he sees she knows she messed up outside the arena. Huron slaps the short-haired girl, leaving everyone stunned, yelling. The mage asks if the tanker gets how wrong her move was. Our guy steps up to defend Yuri with a red cheek. The girl just says sorry, offering to let the redhead hit her until she cools off. Everyone's quiet until the main guy tries to lighten the mood by reminding them they won unfazed. Huron turns away, making things even more awkward. After a moment, our guy decides to follow his teammate. The others join, leaving Yuri alone. We switch to the Aqua Guild's president. After beating his foe, he sees more people coming. Leading the pack, a man praises Lee Huyun's skills. The girl stays quiet while the guy says the elder's super impressed, even asking her to take out the other guilds. Turning away, the girl's not thrilled with what she hears. Annoyed, the man warns her not to forget who gave her power. Fuming, Huyun grabs him by the neck, saying she hates taking orders from underlings. The other two get ready to fight, but the leader tells them to chill. Using his power, he breaks free from her grip, and she apologizes, saying she lost it. Sweating bullets, the man says it's cool and he gets how hard it is to control that strength. That's why he's there to warn that the elder will visit at the master's war closing ceremony. But first, he's gotta handle some stuff. Thanking him, the girl says she's counting on his help and feeling wiped. She's out grinning. The suit guy thinks she'll be ready soon. Meanwhile, at Hotel M, Kyu-sung knocks on Yuri's door to chat. They hit up the candy bar to drown their feels in drinks. Thinking, the main guy wonders how to bring up the topic, but before he can, the tanker apologizes for that day. Nervous, the dude says he doesn't blame her. Explaining, the girl shares it was personal, revealing she had a younger brother and they struggled after their parents passed. But then, the boy awakened, and it seemed like things would finally change until an accident happened. Since that day, she's been dealing with some serious trauma, which made her bounce from her job early and mess things up. The main dude's kinda clueless on what to do, but seeing her all upset, he just goes for a hug and tells her it'll all be chill. Right then, Hiren pops up, and her face screams she's not digging the scene at all. After that awkward moment, the squad gathers around a table. Breaking the silence, Kyu-sung tells the redhead not to get the wrong idea, but she's not having any of his explanations. He's thinking, why does he even need to explain, while the tanker just stays quiet. Grabbing her drink, the mage chugs it down and, feeling a bit better, apologizes to Yuri for the slap. Hearing this makes the short-haired girl's eyes light up again. Continuing her story, the redhead admits she got swept up in the winds. Since climbing the ranks is no joke, a bit awkwardly, the tanker says she's sorry too. Feeling good, the main dude asks how the mage knew she'd find them there. She shrugs, showing she's still mad at him trying to dodge the awkwardness. He suggests they stop drinking, since there's a match tomorrow, but both girls are like, nah, we're not leaving with no other options. He's like, alright, let's drink a bit more then. He asks if Yuri wants a repeat of her last drink and what Hiren's having. Pouting, she orders a Maxioli worried. Our guy wonders if she wants something else, but her glare says it all, so he just orders what she wants. Far away, in her room, Lee Sae-rin watches a report on Korea's losing streak in the Masters War. You says the poor performance is because the country never changes its game. The reporter mentions this sounds a lot like what Kyu-sung said before. When asked, Park Byun disagrees with the professor, saying Korea's DPS skills are lacking, unlike other countries disagreeing. The glasses guy says just look at the winning team. That's not true. The other dude questions if this isn't a general classification fight, since no matter how versatile a general is, you gotta see the big picture. Yu says he's looking at it, mentioning Sae-rin's team's losses things heat up, but the professor doesn't care and says healers and supports need to get that if this keeps up. Future generations will lose too. Annoyed, the redhead changes the channel. A red-haired guy walks out and asks why she's up but gets no answer. So he sits and watches the news about the guild leader Label's death. The reporter pops up, talking again about the Korean guild's flop in the Masters War. Seeing Kyu-sung's pick, the girl asks the guy to take him out. Even confused, the guy agrees. Back at the bar, Yuri and Hyrin are tighter than ever, worried. The main dude says it's time to bounce, but they glare at him, showing their man-hate. Sweating bullets, he thinks this must be a nightmare. The next day, at the arena where the war's happening, workers swap Lee Sae-rin's posters for Kyu-sung's, who's inside, mid-battle. Hiding with Ki-soo, he thinks things will get messy if they stay yelling. The blondie says the issue is the enemy team's 3 rangers shoot all over the place. Our guy says they should focus on the slower mage putting the plan into action. The ranger jumps, shooting at a stone structure which crashes down, blocking the opponents. Yelling, the group leader orders the others to keep shooting, giving the guys no break. Without hesitation, the girls get into position. Thinking, the team's mage says it seems no one's scared anymore. Ki-soo signals the main dude, who speeds up, appearing right in front of the enemies. Realizing she's the target, the mage thinks she doesn't want to go out like this. But seeing the guy's look, she starts to freak out. Our guy misses the strike, leaving the girl shocked, thinking, he wonders why he's acting like this if it's just a Masters War. So, when he tries to say sorry to the little redhead, she just starts yelling, and boom, the strongest dude in the squad shows up and yeets our hero across the field with one punch. The blonde ranger freaks out, calling for backup, while our guy only stops when he smacks into a stone wall. Seizing the moment, the giant checks if the mage is okay. The leader, super mad, tells her to get it together. Out of nowhere, something flies through the air and smacks the team. Grinning, Ki-soo saw, this is for Kyu-sung, and my arrow's gonna be legendary. But plot twist, the giant shields her crew with her own bod, and now she's mega ticked. She charges, launching the blondie sky high, and he crashes into a rock, getting seriously wrecked. No chill, the band leader fires an arrow and takes him out. Thinking fast, she figures only the melee's left. And since our boy's cod, she gears up to end it. The mage is like, hey, that's not cool, and steps in, asking her buddy to chill. Her move makes the ranger fire too soon. Realizing her mistake, the little redhead's all worried. Kyu-sung wakes up just as the arrow hits, clutching his shoulder and yelling in pain. Furious, the enemy leader spins around, demanding to know why the mage messed up. Shaking, the girl says sorry, but it doesn't really help. Trying to defuse the sitch, the giant tells MANHWA it's Hanno's first war, so maybe cut her some slack. Suddenly, another girl yells that the boy's making a run for it. The leader orders 2 to chase him down, warning that if the redhead's actions are out of sympathy, it'll be Kyu-sung's downfall. Running, the hero's thinking how the pain's getting worse even in a game. Then he faceplants, foaming at the mouth. The 2 baddies find him and get ready to finish it, but surprise, something blocks their arrows. It's Yuri, swooping in and smacking Shioru, leaving her buddy super worried. The tanker rolls up with Mayung, and he asks if there's a way to help him. The glasses dude says the arrows got fraud poison, so his detox skills aren't enough, and they need a healer to fix it. Watching, the enemy ranger figures she can't handle 2 alone, heads back to MANHWA to spill the tea. But unlucky for her, Hyrin shows up just in time and zaps her with a spell, joining the crew. She asks how Kyu-sung's holding up. Mayung says it's bad and he'll have to carry him. So, the girls gotta guard him while he hopes nothing goes wrong before they find a healer. Suddenly, the giant enemy pops up, showing it's not gonna be a cakewalk. MANHWA peers too, grinning at Yuri, who's got a face Hino. The strongest throws her first punch. But the glasses guy dodges, set on hiding the hero so he can fight the giant bolts. Leaving everyone in the dust all hyped. The enemy leader wonders if a tanker can beat a ranger. Yuri doesn't hesitate, making the first move, but her opponent leaps into the air. Dodging like a pro. Seeing this, the short-haired girl raises her shield. Thinking how skilled her opponent is nearby, Hirin charges at Hino, who dodges, thinking how wild the redhead is, like she's possessed or something, which means she can't drop her guard. Back to Mayung, who finally finds a good spot to stash Kyusung, who's still out cold. Using his power, he activates Earth Protection, covering the guy completely. Seconds later, his opponent shows up, out of breath. Meanwhile, Yuri's still trying to hit MANHWA, but the ranger's a master at dodging, which is driving her nuts. Teasing, the enemy asks how long they're gonna keep dancing. Thinking, the tanker wonders how fast her opponent is. Grinning, the blue-haired girl warns her to watch her mana. Firing an arrow as the young woman charges again, Yuri blocks it and realizes she needs to close the gap if she wants to win. Meanwhile, the two mages are casting spells, but neither lands a hit. Checking out her rival. Hirin's all were pretty much on the same level, just with different magic vibes. Hino's brain flashes back to her grandma's warning about playing with fire. It's a no-go, kiddo. In her head, the redhead's totally a demon, no cap. In a blink, the protagonist's buddy's in deep trouble cause her rival suddenly got a speed boost. Meanwhile, the tanker's still striking out with her attacks. Like, seriously Mathasol, I see your brave heart, but I'm so over this fight. Yuri's dodging arrows like a pro and, with no other options, goes full in special ability mode. The enemy boss leaps back into action, firing away, but oops. The tanker's got a barrier up. Just about to land a killer hit, the enemy flips on her maneuver step skill, ready to rain arrows, thinking the short-haired girl's mana's tapped out. But wait, last second, she spots Yuri's shield's gone. Boom, the object sideswipes her, landing a direct hit. MANHWA crashes down, leaving a crater where she lands. Hurt, she grumbles about the tanker's sneaky move being low-key shady. Unfazed, the tanker's like, taking down the boss is how we win. Then the ranger cracks up, spilling the tea that she's not the real boss. It's the mage battling Hirin. Her gig was just to push Hino into getting serious. Annoyed, Yuri takes out the ranger, then hears a boom and worries about the redhead. Sprinting through the rain, she's all, why's it pouring though? Sensing something's off, she speeds up. Elsewhere, Mayung's got his rival mad about being swallowed by the earth. The dude's not easing up, aiming to bury the giant completely. Once done, he figures it's smart to harden the mud, just in case. Suddenly, a dark cloud grabs his attention. Back to Hino and Hirin. Thinking out loud, the protagonist pals like, this rival's super stubborn. Yuri finally rolls up to the fight, ready to back her up, but the redhead's all, nah, I got this, better bounce, it's a mage showdown. Listening, the tanker warns her buddy to stay sharp, spilling that the mage is the enemy squad's boss. Hearing that, the redhead's feeling a bit jelly. Watching the pair, the braided girl wonders if the short-haired one took down MANHWA, but has to dodge Hirin's fireball bearish. The two dive into a heated clash. Yuri's just vibing, thinking how epic it is, stoked to see her friend taking charge. Freaked out, Hino's like, I can't hang on much longer until the flames swallow her up. Seeing her rival down, Kyusung's buddy grins while the tanker gives props for the win. Curled up and sobbing, the braided girl's only feeling fear, flashing back to when her village burned and her dad sent her to her sisters for safety. Looking at Shoko, he tells her to watch over the kids. After a ton of water, they finally tame the flames. Then, the girl's dad shows up with another bucket, set on putting out the fire for good, but glowing red eyes lock onto him from afar, and a demon beast steps out of the shadows with its crew. Thinking, the man wonders if these monsters kicked off the village fire and decides they gotta stop them no matter what. The village gates slam shut, and a bit away from the chaos, Hino's scared stiff, just like now. Sick of being scared, the girl gets up, leaving Hirin and Yuri shook, nervous. The tankers all, stay back, dude, but she insists she's good across the field. The mage is showing she's definitely not. Suddenly, she pops up behind the girls, landing a brutal hit on the redhead, who doesn't even flinch. The tanker yells for her buddy, thinking she's low on mana to handle the enemy, who's now got pure rage in her eyes, ready to go all out. Not ready to quit, Yuri gears up, saying she needs to dodge direct fights. Lucky for her, Hiren stands up, even hurt, declaring Hinos her rival. The tanker yells that fighting in this state is bonkers. But the redhead fires back, saying it's the same for her, begging her friend not to jump in no matter what goes down. Hiren's banking on her opponent being just as beat up in her head. One hit should do the trick without a second thought. She unleashes a firestorm at Hino, who blocks it with a barrier, leaping into the air. The mage busts out her move, Surya's Spear. Watching from a distance, Yuri's mind is blown by how the enemy's mana just skyrocketed. Something she's never seen, even from the pros. Thinking about it, she remembers Mathis' words and figures Hiren might be in trouble, given the massive mana gap between the girls. Cursing her opponent, the redhead realizes long attacks are a no-go and decides to try something she's not a fan of, seeing the girl charging at her. Hino jumps to dodge. This makes Yuri super anxious. Still, the redhead figures she needs one more attack to win, but surprise, surprise, the enemy zaps her with lightning. The tanker shouts for her ally, who's down, right by Hino's feet. Seeing the young girl has mad skills, Yuri decides to step in but keeps her distance to drain the opponent's mana. The mage fires off arrows, but the tanker dodges, waiting for her big move. When the time comes, the short-haired girl goes all in out of nowhere. In the middle of the attack, Hiren grabs Hinos' ankle, admitting she hates this method but has no choice. Then, she unleashes Surya's Pillar, engulfing the enemy in flames, leaving no escape. From afar, a massive fire tornado is visible. As the dust settles, Yuri stands unharmed, but looking ahead, she realizes she's alone. The announcer declares Kong Moon Team's victory, and the matches end. 10 days later, in a hospital room, a journalist on TV chats about Q-Sung's team's wins. Our boy wakes up, startled, and looks around, wondering where he is. Yuri shows up, thrilled to see him awake. Cutting to the chase, the protagonist asks how the match went after a few minutes. He's stoked to hear his team won. The tanker says everyone had a rough time, but they pulled through. The young man takes a deep breath. Feeling relieved, the young woman mentions the doc said once the pain shock fades, he'll be back to 100. Suddenly, the rest of the team barges in. Q-Sung asks if everyone's good, but Kisu says he's just man. Another guy jokes that the ranger's just salty because even the nurses are fans of the protagonist. Switching gears, our boy asks about Hyrian. In the cafeteria, the redhead's munching on everything in sight, ready for a nap. Just then, the whole squad rolls in. They all sit and chat about their wins. The mage mentions some folks with a 70 or even 50 win rate got higher rankings. Q-Sung says there must be more to it than he thought. The blue-haired guy agrees, saying he'll snag a good ranking for sure. Kisu wonders what happens if they win all 10 matches, but the redhead says to focus on the ones left. Yuri mentions if they win all rounds, they could level up to Beelzebub or Mammon. Curious, the protagonist asks if that's ever happened, adjusting his glasses. The healer says he heard about a case in Sweden. The cap-wearing guy claims with our boy, anything's possible. Breaking the chill vibe, the mage suggests thinking about the next team. But when asked, she admits she doesn't know what type they'll face. Everyone goes quiet until Q-Sung jokes if Hiren's saving that rice grain on her face for later, making everyone but the redhead crack up. In the middle of the fun, Yuri's the only one sensing something off. When night falls, the protagonist and the mage say bye to the group. The mage tells the tanker to head home and rest too. Agreeing, the young woman says she'll catch the duo tomorrow, clinging to our boy's arm. The redhead wishes her friend a good rest. The duo watches the girl bounce and starts heading back to the hospital. Hiren shoves the boy away and he's thinking, man, I just don't get girls. Before crashing in his room, Q-Sung tells the mage to chill while thinking, wow. Time zooms by, but opening his dorm door, he's face to face with a dude drenched in strawberry juice who just offed the nurse. Confused, our guy's like, what the heck is going on? No, chill. The bandit charges, but our speedy boy dodges like a pro, but the dude plays dirty, trips him, and bam, our boy's slammed into a wall. On the floor, he's like, why is this dude trying to off me? The assassin's staring him down with eyes like lasers, yelling. The boy's like, wrong guy, dude, but it's no use. Worried, he's thinking my boat is still wrecked. Dodging again ain't happening, so he figures time to fight back. Lucky break, Yuri shows up just in time and, with one epic kick, sends the guy flying. Q-Sung's all impressed, thanks her, and asks why she's here when she should be home. She explains, saying she had a weird vibe since the store and came back seeing the boys' confusion. She says her power lets her sense if someone's chill or sus by their mana vibes. The assassin gets up, cracking his neck like he's in a movie. Facing the dude, our hero tells his buddy the guy's a killer. The girl says they gotta be careful. The bandit attacks again, but the duo dodges, quickly figuring out that if that's his speed, landing a hit is gonna be easy. Once more, the guy's sent flying, smashing through a big window. Our boy asks if it's game over, but seeing the enemy bail, he says they gotta chase him. Yuri grabs his arm, saying chasing him might be a trap. The protagonist trusts her and chills. Later, the cops roll in to check things out, and he's still trying to figure out why he's a target. Hearing the guy might be a renegade master, he asks what that even means. She explains that after awakening, you can join the government as a military master or be a regular master like them, who can't use mana except in demon gates. So only military masters can use powers in the real world. But renegades break the rules, taking jobs for hits and chaos, and the government can't touch them. Hearing this makes Kyu-sung mad. Concerned, Yuri suggests he not crash at the hospital that night. When invited to her place, he's speechless, but she assures him it's all good. Hiron pops in, saying she can't sleep with all the noise. Seeing the cops, she asks what's up after the rundown. Everyone heads to the tanker's place. Lying on a mattress, our boy is wondering who wants him gone. Elsewhere, Lee Se Rin's surrounded by an enemy squad. Disappointed, a woman says the group should rep Korea but is just a mess. The young woman gets knocked out, and the announcer declares the Sangatsu Guild the match winners. Outside, the redhead asks her crew how they lost 5 matches in a row. Everyone's silent, ticking her off, yelling. She tells them to scram. Leaving her solo in the room, remembering her last chat with her sis, Lee Se Rin starts sweating and lights a cig to chill, but the red-haired guy shows up, saying no smoking here. Nervous, she asks if he didn't hear her say not to show up in public. The guy turns to leave, but she calls him back, asking why he's here. Sitting down, he says Kyu-sung's tougher than they thought, and the attack flopped. Realizing she's about to be attacked, the redhead says it's not over, and the fact that the guy who messed with his girl isn't weak makes it more thrilling. Our boy wakes up, startled, wondering why Hiron's so close to avoid any awkwardness. He decides to sneak away quietly. Suddenly, the mage starts moving but stays snoozing, which makes our hero breathe a sigh of relief. Away from the bed, he takes a deep breath, then realizes he's feeling kinda off. Our dude decides to hit the bathroom, but when he opens the door, surprise, Yuri's in the shower. He turns ghostly pale, thinking, welp, this is the end of me. Hiron wakes up, sees the chaos, and ties him to a chair. Calling him a wild beast, the tanker suggests chilling out, saying the guy didn't mean any harm. After the drama, they decide it's time to grab some grub at the restaurant. Kyu-sung wonders if they should spill the beans to the team. Yuri's like, nah, let's keep it on the down low. Or ITLL mess with the team's vibe, plus if it leaks, ITLL be a major headache. Our dude nods in agreement. She then mentions the cops will find a clue soon. Curious, he asks what Hiron's glued to on her phone without looking up. She says she's watching a mind-blowing video of a master who soloed a demon gate. Kyu-sung and Yuri are totally shook, all hyped. The redhead says she thought it was fake until she found out it's about Reggie Weed, the top dog in the master rankings. Turns out, the dude got famous a decade ago after a match. Flashback to the semifinals of the Master War. Back then, Reggie was a rising star, even beating veteran masters. His semifinal opponent was Iku Shoei, Asia's top hand-to-hand master. Critics thought Iku would win easy peasy, but the two were evenly matched, and their mana blasts echoed outside the arena. After tons of hits, the dark-haired guy ran out of mana while Iku, super tired, kept looking for a win. Finally, after 3 days, Iku used Godspeed for a final blow, causing a huge flash. The crowd went wild for Iku. But when the dust settled, Reggie was the one standing, and the crowd switched to cheering his name. Regis' win over the Russian master shot him to the top spot, where he still is. Now, Kyu-sung is mind-blown, asking how Reggie won after being cornered. Hiron says there's talk that Reggie had a second awakening, a hot topic among top masters. Our dude's clueless about second awakenings, but gets pumped about the idea. Yuri asks about Shoei and learns he retired and went off the grid after the fight. Curious, the hero asks how the mage knows all this. Grinning, she says she's in Regis fan club. With the chat over, the tanker suggests they hustle to the arena. The mage agrees, saying shell chow down faster. Meanwhile, our heroes buzzing about the second awakening, thinking melee masters might not be stuck at the bottom anymore. The fifth match of the Masters War kicks off. Two enemies attack Kisu, who fires arrows at them. The mage blocks the attack, making the blonde switch tactics. He shoots an explosive arrow with tear gas with the enemies distracted. Our dude swoops in and finishes them off. The ranger shouts, praising his epic entrance. But suddenly, one enemy pops back up. The hero looks over, shocked, while the other team's mage thinks going solo is dumb. When the dust clears, Kyusung sees the enemy's plan to bail. Kisu warns his buddy not to chase, fearing a trap, but he's ignored. Running, our dude wonders why the enemy's so chill even though he's faster. Another foe appears ahead and sends him flying with one hit. As he falls, the hero thinks this might be the end. Up top, the ponytailed guy praises his ally's attack, saying now that they've ditched the biggest threat, victory's a done deal. As everyone stays quiet, he's all, why the awkward silence, guys? The big dude's like, I don't think Kyusung got knocked out. The mage is confused, asking if he thinks Kyusung's gonna climb up, then yells that his buddy needs to grow a backbone. The young guy nods, and right then, the hero's sword slices him in half. The young dude lands the hit and keeps climbing, while the enemy's jaw drops, wondering how he's still going. After seeing him fall, the hero just chills midair, leaving the young guy even more baffled. He suddenly remembers the healer and wonders why Jiro didn't sense anyone sneaking up. Lost in thought, the ponytail guy figures his enemies must be further down. Scanning around, he spots Jongwook, giving it his all to keep Kyusung airborne. Ticked off, the young dude's like, didn't think they'd risk the healer to save the melee dude. Still, he's all, as long as the support's here. Even if it's tough, we've got the upper hand. Ryota gets the call to help, but then, bam, he's frozen in place. The blonde guy's yelling, what's the deal? His buddy gets knocked out and he's scanning for where the shot came from, realizing it's from way, way far. Kaisis locked and loaded, ready to fire again. Sweating bullets, the enemy decides to watch the young guy's next move up close, but, unlucky for him, Myung and Kyusung close in with 3 on him. The young guy tries to stay chill, until he figures surrender's the best move. Everyone closes in, and the rangers all, Yuri, Hiren, Hire, and Jongwook should soon beat the other pair. Out of nowhere, a scream reminds them Hwang's still dangling. Hearing the young guy needs help climbing, Myung tells Kisu to warn he might fall. Curious, the hero asks how the healer knew he'd fall. The glasses guy's like, I'm the messenger, one of my skills lets me see super far. Our boy's grateful, but the young guy's like, no need, it's thanks to you we won. Meanwhile, the ranger's trying to convince the healer to just drop already. Thinking, the hero's like, because of me we almost lost. Meaning in real life, Hwang would have had to sacrifice himself for me. Then he wonders what Reggie and Iku would do in his shoes. Thinking about it makes him jittery, and he's all, I gotta get stronger, both in body and mind. We jump to another scene, where a guy's frantically telling his crew to protect the guild master, but even so, the mysterious figure charges in and wipes everyone out until a big guy's fist comes flying after the punch. He's like, pretty gutsy of you to storm one of the top 4 guilds like this. Then reveals he knows it's Lee Hoyeon under the mask. Other masters join the big guy, who's yelling that the young woman will pay with her life. Meanwhile, in what looks like a company building, our boy knocks before entering Kim Minchul's office. Walking in, he asks if everything's cool. Nodding, the man invites him to sit, then asks what's up. After chatting a bit, he gets that the hero's hunting for a personal training spot. Asking for help, our boy's like, private training spots cost a fortune. He'll take any time slot. Thinking, the man's like, it's not my place. But seeing Kyusung's face, there might be a way, there should be some openings. The hero's cool with anything as long as it's his. Holding a tablet, the suit guy's like, don't get too hyped, if a master signs up, you'll lose the spot. After some searching, Kim Minchul finds what he needs. But suddenly, a master registers and poof, the spot's gone. Hiding his disappointment, our boy's like, he'll find another way. Apologizing, the man promises to keep an eye out in case someone drops out. So the young guy should only thank him once he's in the training field. Switching gears, he mentions Kyusung should totally meet the new master. The main dude's down to meet her, so they head to the door in the master's room. Kim Minchul introduces himself, but surprise, Surprise, the woman and the young guy already know each other. Cut to the guild HQ getting wrecked by Lee Hyun, who's flying solo after taking down the other masters, thinking out loud. She says only one guild's left, all thanks to the power she scored. Bam, something hits her. On the ground, a dude's ready to throw down, but she's quicker and takes him out in a flash. While she's thinking about mopping up the rest of the guild, a black mist sneaks into the Akia president, messing with her face for a sec. Lee Hyun faints, and Myung finds her. Flashback to when Kyusung worked at a company, taking orders from a lady with pink lipstick. Head down, he says sorry for messing up his work. Annoyed, his boss tells him to work as an agent. Since he got that title, turns out, after becoming a master, the best part wasn't ditching the low-pay, late-night gig, but escaping Young's grip. One day he wrote a report, but then the director showed up asking who wrote that garbage. Without missing a beat, he says his boss told him to do it that way. But she denies it, saying she didn't make those dumb mistakes back to now. He tells Kim Minchul how he knows Jung, grinning. The woman says it's nice to see him, while he thinks the best thing since becoming a master was not seeing her face again. The guy uses their connection to ask his old student to introduce them. With no other choice, he does it. Mayan says he doesn't need to call her boss anymore, and Minchul says it's nice. To meet her, Hyusung takes the chance to say he needs to bounce cause it's late. The guy's not thrilled and says his group has a match soon, so he'll drop by again when he can. With a spooky look, Jung tells him to take care. Leaving the building, he wonders how he'll book a training field and why his ex-boss had to register. Feeling like he's in trouble, he decides he can't wait for Kim. Then something catches his eye. At the Red Bull Guild HQ, Mayan asks if Aiden Guild's the last one and what Lee Hyun's gonna do with all that power. Curious, she asks why he thinks she got that power, saying her goal was to be on top. Until she met Ikushohi, who's got more power than anyone can imagine, so she decides she can't be the head of the dragon, shall be the tail. The guy stays quiet while she says she knows he's in it for the same reason. Out of nowhere, a green-haired dude shows up, saying even after talking to the government, a problem popped up during cleanup. Asked what happened, he says one of Red Bull's 4 guardians vanished. Freaked out, Lee Hyun orders him to find and finish off the survivor. Mayan stays by her side. Silent outside, Kyusung heads to an alley after hearing a noise and finds the missing guardian. Flashback to just before the fight. A guy tells Hannah to run, while a big redhead says the enemy's not even human. A mustache dude says he'll clear a path for her. The tank top guy tells her to stay alive. Waking up, the guardian sees the main dude and charges. Asking where she is and who he is, he tries to speak but can't catch his breath. Yuri shows up, glad she's awake, while Haeyeon wants to know what her ally did. Covered in strawberry juice, Hannah's confused about what's going on. Meanwhile, in the alley, Lee Hyun's worker figures the girl can't be far because of her injuries. Placing his hand on the ground, he realizes someone else was there, meaning the guardian might have had a sidekick. We bounce back to Kyusung, who gets why the girl acted that way, then asks what went down. Wrapped like a mummy, the guardian asks if he's a master too. The main dude's all, yep, and my squad is too. Hannah's curious, asking which guild he's rep-in. Yuri jumps in, saying they're not in any guild. Cutting off the girl's grilling, the mage suggests she should spill who she is first. Our guy scolds the redhead, but she's all, I didn't say anything wrong. Feeling a bit awkward, Hannah says sorry and introduces herself as one of the 4 guardians of the Red Bull Guild. The news leaves the girls totally shook. Continuing her story, the girl says yesterday her whole guild got wiped out. Hearing one person did it solo, the trio's like, how's that even possible? The guardian says even if it's wild, she's for real. Revealing the assassin is Lee Hyun, boss of the Aqua Guild. Unlike his freak-out friends, Kyusung asks who Hannah's talking about. Yuri explains that a few years back, Aqua was a fry, but everything flipped when the girl took charge. Adding to this, Hyerin heard the group dodges competing with other guilds. After a pause, the guardian says Red Bull, Label, Aiden, and Aqua are Korea's big shots, and among them, Red Bull and Label are chill while Aiden and Aqua are all about action. Still, no turf wars happen until one day. Label's leader got whacked. Even though the news blamed renegades, she's sure Lee Hyun's behind it all. The mage and main dude are stunned hearing this, but Hannah spills that her guild checked the crime scene and figured it was an organization's doing. She believed the whole guild, leader included, got taken out by one person. At first, no one bought her story until everyone saw it for themselves. Curious, the main dude asks why Aqua's leader is picking fights. But the Guardian says it doesn't matter since the girl messed up the power balance. So, they gotta alert the other guilds as soon as possible. Hana calls Q-sung and, pulling something from her pocket, asks him to hit up Aiden Guild HQ and report the drama in return. Shell do whatever he wants thinking it over. Our guy figures if he takes the mission, he might score a training room when night hits. He heads to the spot the Guardian mentioned, remembering her panic about the power balance being wrecked. Risking a civil war knowing Aiden's wary of strangers, the girl gave him a USB that only reacts to certain mana. The main dude stops at a door with a red symbol and, after a deep breath, asks if anyone's there. With no response, he wonders if he should just bust in. But deciding that's rude, he knocks again and yells until the gate swings open. On its own a bit further, there's someone chilling in a chair, sweating bullets. Q-sung thinks he's in the wrong spot. Still, he approaches the guy and tries to get his attention. The guy doesn't budge, so the young dude speaks up until he's shocked by the old man's face. Lifting his head, the man asks what he's doing, but the main dude's just thinking how the old guy looks like the dude from his dream. Remembering he's in Korea, the man stops speaking Japanese and, smiling, says it's nice to meet him. Q-sung stands frozen, saying nada. Worried, the man asks if he messed up until the young dude finally says hi, laughing. The man says it's been ages since he spoke Korean, then asks if the young dude can help him find the nearest subway station. Thinking it over, the main dude figures it's best to help the guy, so he loudly tells the man to follow him. Happy. The old man says the young dude's super generous. The two start climbing the stairs and our boy's all ears, soaking up the advice about keeping his body in tip-top shape. After a few minutes, they hit their destination. Pointing with his arm, the protagonist tells the old man to follow the road, take a right, and boom, he's at the station. Grinning, the man thanks him for the help and apologizing, says he's got a reward for the young dude. Q-sung's like, nah, keep your cash, and tells the man to hold on to it. The old man then goes, well, if you insist, and sneaks the money into our boy's coat pocket before bolting. The protagonist thanks him while watching the old man bounce and, remembering his mission, wonders if he wasted too much time. Then he figures, better get a move on out of nowhere. The old man pops back and says he forgot to mention something. With a creepy grin, he says the young dude's got a rare and precious body. Freaked out, our boy's like, how does he know I'm an energy-based master? Turning to leave, the old man says the young dude better hustle if he wants to deliver what he needs. Q-sung starts sprinting back to the spot Hana pointed out, but when he hits the gate, he sees something terrifying. His body freezes at the sight of a dead woman hanging under the symbol in a cafe. He asks the Guardian if this means there are no guilds left to keep Lihu, Yun, and Check, and what's up with these attacks. Hiran's like, duh, the young woman's clearly trying to gain something. Yuri says the girl might be trying to absorb the other guilds. Breaking her silence, Hana says those reasons are way too shallow. Confused, the protagonist's like, what do you mean? Explaining, the young woman says the murders are tied to why the 4 major guilds were created. Years ago, Korea was known for having the most demon gates. But among these gates, there was one that caused the most chaos, known as the Gate of Tragedy. When the war truce ended, the government didn't help, leading many masters to lose their lives trying to close the gate in the chaos. A squad of 11 pros was formed. Q-sung's like, why 11 masters when attacks usually roll with 10? The Guardian says this was before there was a proper system for attacks, so, after a month, the 11 managed to shut the gate. But when it happened, only 4 masters survived. And they're the ones who started the 4 major guilds. Intrigued, Haran asks how this story ties to what Liho Yan's up to. Explaining, Hana spills that, on the day the gate was closed, a unique mineral stone was found. The stone was split among the 4 masters, something that only happens when the mineral's not special. Not getting it, the protagonist's like, where's this going? Cutting to the chase, the young woman reveals the stone can create a demon gate. The info makes the trio's eyes go wide. The Guardian says the leader of the Aqua guild's trying to collect and merge the mineral pieces. Silence takes over until she remembers something. Turning around, the girl asks if there's anything Q-sung wants as a thank you for what he did. A bit awkwardly, the protagonist asks if she could hook him up with a training field. But Hana says the training field's been taken over by the Aqua Guild. Wondering if a model training field would do. Excitedly, our boy's like, he'll take anything. Confused, the mage asks if he's really trying to train. The protagonist confirms and thanks the guardian for the help. While thinking how silly he is for asking at such a tricky time, Yuri asks what the young woman plans to do now that the Aiden Guild's toast determined. She says her plan is to team up with the remaining masters to take on Lee Hu-yoon. Huron says that's not going to be a walk-in. The park agreeing, Hannah says it might be mission impossible, and even though she doesn't want to push them, she'd love to humbly ask for their help. Seeing the girl bowing, the protagonist stands up. Meanwhile, the tanker tells her to chill, they were going to help her anyway. Concerned, the guardian asks if the trio's sure, since ITLL put them in a lot of people's crosshairs. Smiling, the mage is like, our squad's more than ready. Hannah can't hold back her tears and starts crying while thanking them, thinking, Kyu-sung wonders who the heck that old man was earlier. The next day, during a match, the Kong-moon team totally flexes on the B team of the Ikkyu Guild, showing off some serious power moves. The commentators yelling about how their strategy is next level, all about close combat and team vibes. Our boys getting mad props for leading his team to their 6th win, and everyone's buzzing. After the battle, in the locker room, the squad's hyped, chatting about how sweet victory tastes. Switching gears, Hike's all, dude, why aren't you hitting the showers? He's like, got plans tonight, gotta bounce early. Grinning, the dude's like, join us for the victory party. But Kyu-sung's like, nah, the drinks can wait till next time. Kaisa's like, bro, stop being a clown. He's got no time for that shouting. The young man's like, my bad, laughing. The protagonist waves goodbye and peaces out. Hearing the guy's been chill lately, Kisu starts teasing Hyuk, saying he's got a crush. Myung shows up but stays quiet. We zoom over to the Aqua Guild HQ, where Lee Ho-yun's strutting down to a secret lab. She stops by the scientist, checking out these floating crystals in a tank. The dude's like, this mineral's breathing, but it's unstable without the Red Bull Guild's piece. The young woman's silent, remembering the redhead's last words about the mineral being impossible to find. Kyu-sung's back in action, battling robot enemies in VR, pulling off epic moves. He's crushing it until Hyrin and Hannah roll in. The protagonist's like, sorry for wrecking the bots, but the guardians chill, saying there's plenty more. Impressed, she's like, your speed's insane, not your average rank master. Awkwardly, our boy's like, nah, Eve got a long way to go. Confused, the young woman's like, who you talking about? But he dodges, joining the convo. The mage is like, spill it, your goal's to be Regiwood, right? Sweating, the protagonist's like, yeah. Kinda embarrassing out of nowhere, Hannah's like, you'll never be Reggie. Kyu-sung's speechless, trying to keep it cool, asking what she means, but it's Cricket's impatient. The redhead's like, guardian, that's harsh. She stays quiet, then sighs, apologizing if she offended him. But he's gotta know, Regiwood's a different beast, all about energy with a second awakening. Shocked, the mage is like, is that for real? The guardian's like, yep, as far as I know, with his hand on his head. The protagonist's like, I'm energy-based too, repeating himself when the redhead confirms. Hannah's shook, not sure how to react. Still, she's like, prove it, and after the test, she's like, you've got mad talent. Curious, our boy's like, is being energy-based that big a deal? The guardian's like, totally. Most are mana-based, but energy-based can train infinitely. Hearing this, the duo's mind blown. Hyesung's checking himself out, feeling like the universe's coolest dude, while Hannah's thinking maybe she should have kept quiet. Ending the hype, she's like, unlike Reggie, you've got a ways to go. Thinking he's like, she's right. Catching him off guard, the guardian's like, wanna train? Grinning, our boy's like, heck yeah, when do we start? Meanwhile, Hiren's wondering why he's so pumped. The guardian's like, he's gotta run home. A few minutes later, Hyesung's the girls drive off. In his head, he's like, how am I supposed to run a 2-hour car ride? The next day, a young dude's all bummed out after getting a text that the raid he was hyped for got cancelled. Curious, his buddy asks if it's because they're solo masters or something. Out of nowhere, a bus from the Aqua Guild rolls up, and their squad starts hopping off. Annoyed, the chubby dude glares at the trio, thinking they totally swiped his raid, meaning something's gotta give. They all eyeball each other for a hot SEC, and the young dude starts sweating bullets as the Aqua Guild master suddenly seems to tower over him. Cutting to the chase, the glasses guy asks what's up. Lacking guts, the chubby dude just mumbles nothing with a cheeky grin. The other young dude says in that case he should stop blocking the path. After this face-off, the master heads home, kicking himself for being such a wimp. Thinking, he mutters that, in the end, the weak always bow to the strong. Suddenly, a report about Q-sung and his crew standing out grabs his attention. We see the main dude using his Godspeed skill, driving the reporter bonkers. The young dude keeps watching, and we're whisked to the 7th match of the Kangmoon team. Happening in the ruins pasture, the enemies scope out our boy and decide he's got nowhere to run. The young dude recalls Hannah saying how close combat is inevitable. Besides, if the team's got skills, breaking through will be tough, so he's got to use called flow. Fed up with waiting, an enemy leaps into the air, ready to strike. Turns out, the flow move can redirect an enemy's attack depending on the user's spin speed when hit. Our boy uses his new skills and dodges the blow, leaving his opponent totally baffled. Gearing up to continue, he gathers all his energy to unleash it in one go in the tornado's midst. The enemies realize they're toast to flash hits, and when the dust clears, Q-sung's the last one standing. Wiped out, he admits the move's epic but super draining, as it needs spinning his whole body at warp speed to work. Knowing it's a high-tier move, the young dude figures it'll be tough to pull off again, so the best plan is to avoid getting trapped. The announcer's voice booms, declaring the match over and the Kangmoon team's win. 80. Because of this, the main dude gets even more props, especially for being a lower-ranked master. The chubby dude keeps watching, eyes glued, till the broadcast finally wraps up. The next day, Lee Ho-yoon's assistant meets the red-haired dude, who's curious why he's there. The guy then asks why the young dude hasn't finished the task the girl asked for. Explaining, the red-haired dude says attacking someone so famous could be messy, so he's waiting for the Master's War to wrap up. When asked again why he's visiting, the green-haired dude spills that he found the last member of the Red Bull Guild. At home, Hannah thinks about how, even though she's healing up, she's not feeling 100. Even so, she decides it's go time. Hyran and Yuri roll in with food. Shocked, the main dude asks what's up with the chicken feast. Grinning, the mage says it's least she could do now that they're rank-up confirmations. And thinking, our boy wonders if he can snag some chicken, but the Guardian's words about sticking to a strict diet to level up haunt him. Curious, the redhead asks where Hannah went. Head down, Q-sung says protein's one of the big 3 nutrients, while eyeing the chicken tray. Almost drooling, he notices the shiny fat, and unable to resist, grabs a piece. But the mage cuts him off, yelling, wanting to know where the Guardian is. The main dude then says she mentioned hitting the bathroom, but it's been a minute. The blue-haired girl finally shows up, smiling at the trio gathered. So everyone sits down and starts munching thanks to the diet. Our boy's stuck with a broccoli meal, breaking the silence. Hyran asks if they think winning all the matches is doable, given their current streak. Nodding, Yuri says they just need 3 more wins to clinch the competition. Grinning, the mage spills the tea about how she thought she'd totally flop in the Master's War, but now she's vibing with how things turned out way better than she ever imagined. Hannah's just chilling, listening in, then hits up Q-sung, asking if he's down for a practice match with her. The girls are all like, whoa, is that even a good idea? 'Cause there's a huge level gap between them. The Guardian's like, chill, no need to stress about the rank difference. Curious, the main dude's like, yo, are you really feeling better? She nods, saying she's got her mana back on track but will still dial down her power for the practice sesh. Once our guys in, they head to the training arena, and after a few seconds of staring each other down, he decides to make the first move. Hannah's just standing there, realizing how speedy he is, thinking this ain't your average master speed. While blocking his moves, not only is Q-sung super fast, but he's got mad balance too. Seeing him charge again, the Guardian's like, let's see how he handles it if his balance gets wrecked. Our dude clocks that an attack's coming from below and knows he can't dodge it in time. Still, he steps back just enough to brace himself and block the hit while holding his ground. He admits the pressure's intense and, after getting disarmed and tossed back, wonders if that's what a high-level master's strength feels like. Hannah steps up, offering a hand, and gives him props for a solid effort. Grinning, Q-sung compliments her too. After helping him up, the Guardian's impressed with his progress. A bit shy, our guy admits he's still got a long way to go. Then they start chatting about the moves they pulled off. Hyran and Yuri are watching from the sidelines, and the mage notes their friend seems pretty stoked lately, thinking how in movies when this happens, something always pops up to ruin the main character's fun. The next day, the main dude's gearing up for another match when suddenly, there's a knock on the door. After getting the go-ahead, Hannah walks in and asks how he's doing. Smiling, our guy says he's good, feeling lighter every day. The Guardian reminds him that even if he levels up in the Master War, he'll still get weak if he skips training. Kyu-sung thanks her for all her help, and she says compared to saving his life, what she's doing is no biggie. Switching topics. The Guardian chats about the day's match and, hearing it's his 8th battle, says he won't be long. Leveling up and watching him brings back memories of her own Master War days. Shocked, the main dude asks how she did. Hannah shares she was just 17 when it all went down, a newbie master. Even with all her slip-ups, her leader helped her push through. Curious, our guy asks who the leader was. Without spilling the beans, she says it's been ages since she last talked to her ex-leader. Confused, Kyu-sung asks what she slipped into his bag, but she just says it's something to a horn blares, signaling it's go time. The Guardian calls out to the main dude and, smiling, says she's sure his team will crush it. We're whisked to the 8th match spot, where our guy's soaring through the air with Yuri boosting him higher using her shield. The main dude charges full throttle at the enemies. To keep everyone safe, the mage summons Yorimitsu no Kabuto. A massive impact hits, but our guy realizes his attack still isn't cutting it. So, he steps back to think about how the enemy tanks are defending like pros, perfectly syncing their mana. Plus, there's an annoying attacker in the mix. Puzzled, Kyu-sung wonders how to tackle that. Meanwhile, at the Akia Guild HQ, security's doing their usual rounds, when suddenly, one of them gets his neck snapped by Hannah, who nabs the access card and sneaks into a file room. Scanning the massive shelves, she grabs a folder labeled First Impact, and after skimming through it gets super mad, finding out what Lihuyu's been up to. To top it off, the baddies quickly close in on her spot and launch an attack. Trying to stop her with one swift move, the Guardian throws the trio off their game. When the dust settles, one dude realizes the girl has vanished and, super mad, says the intruder's crazy fast out on the street. Hannah's just blending in, thinking how things will get messy if the Akia Guild's boss gets her way. 'Cause her plan would make Korea the world's enemy. Lost in her thoughts. The Guardian doesn't even notice she's being watched back at the battle spot. With Yuri beside him, the main guy says the 3 baddies are defending like they're one. The girl mentions that this defense is tricky, 'cause physical hits do nada. Kyu-sung ponders a bit on that and, after checking out the opponents for a few seconds, yells for the tanker to toss him in the same direction again. Worried, the girl reminds him physical hits don't work, but the main dude grins and asks her to trust him. Meanwhile, Hannah's strolling through an alley, and then she realizes someone's tailing her. The green-haired dude shows up, getting closer, until, surprised, the Guardian pops out and says it's been ages since they last met. Turns out, the guy's her old leader and he used to be a guardian of the Red Bull Guild too. Cutting to the chase, Shin Dong-hoon says if she hands over the stone, she can bounce, but, surprise again, the Guardian attacks, yelling that traitors don't get to talk. Blocking with his arm, the guy says those words mean zilch. Hannah has to back off. While her old leader says it's a bummer, she chose this path, pointing her sword. The girl declares he can't beat her. Annoyed, the green-haired dude says she's gotten super cocky, and then charges at her using her speed. Kyu-sung's buddy leaps off the buildings and, aiming at the enemy, dives down with all her might. Shouting, she accuses Shin of killing everyone. Boom, a huge explosion, followed by a bright flash. When the dust settles, the guy's still kicking confident. The Guardian says it'll always end the same, so her old leader should quit before going for another attack. She says she's got a question. But, unlucky for her, another enemy shows up. Grinning, the red-haired guy asks if Dong-hoon's struggling. Curious, Hannah wonders who this is, since she didn't sense him until he spoke. Back on the battlefield, Kyu-sung uses Yuri's shield again to get some speed. Thinking, the girl wonders what he's up to. Our dude rockets towards the enemies, while the tankers say that attack's pointless, not realizing he's aiming for the ground, not them. When he hits, the guys are launched into the air, as the ice beneath them shatters into a million pieces. Everyone's thinking how to escape this mess while realizing they underestimated Kyu-sung. The trio looks down, right where the main guy's coming from with full force. Using his sword, he takes out 2 foes. Holding his shield, one tanker decides they can't just let the kid do whatever at the last second. He shields himself and the mage, so both land safely. A bit further, our dude wonders if he should use the new move he learned from Hannah. Deciding it's the best play, he starts prepping without a second thought. Watching, the enemy sees the kid's gonna use another charge move and, yelling, tells his buddy to get his special move ready. Following orders, the mage starts casting a powerful spell. Meanwhile, the tanker's set on blocking any attacks with his shield, no matter what. He activates his special move called Yorimitsu no Date, which fills the whole area inside his shield with his mana. So, breaking the ground's a no-go, and the shield will react to any physical hit. The only hitch is this move can't last long. Even so, the guy claims his crew will end the main dude's winning streak. To his shock, Q-Sung starts walking towards him. Confused, the tanker wonders what move he's using. Our dude suddenly stops walking, and like magic, vanishes, reappearing inside the shield, thanks to his Godspeed Shadow Step move. The two enemies are baffled how that's even possible, until suddenly the shield's busted and they're taken out alone. The main guy thinks about how epic the move he learned is. Realizing he should thank Hana more often, Yuri strolls over, thinking the young dude's leveling up faster than anyone in the war, all thanks to the Guardian. She's a bit jelly, not gonna lie. The announcer's voice booms, declaring Kangmoon's team crushed it, winning 70. We zoom over to Hana's hangout spot, covered in strawberry juice. The red-haired dude's all, "Now that it's done, I'm outta here." Shin's like, "Is it cool to just bounce like that?" With a cheeky grin, the other guy's all, "That's just how I roll." Meanwhile, in Kangmoon's locker room, Hyuk's waving a beer bottle, inviting the main dude to join. But he's like, "Sorry, got a promise to keep. Can't hang." Annoyed, the boy's like, "Didn't want to do this," and orders the crew to grab Q-Sung. Our guy's like, "Guess I got no choice," and lets his buds carry him off. Grinning, Kisu's all, "What you been up to? Dodging us?" The main dude tries to answer, but Jay jumps in. "You seeing someone? Sweating bullets." He's wondering if they know about Hana. His reaction's a dead giveaway, and the crew's all, "Spill the tea, who's the mystery girl?" Just as he's about to fib, Hiren storms in, demanding why he's taking forever. Q-Sung's all apologies, and his friends are like, "We knew it." Yuri pops up too, asking if something's up. The trio's shook, seeing two girls waiting for him. Looking at the guys, he apologizes again, promising drinks next time. Everyone's speechless as he leaves with the girls later. They're all, "Man, we're so jelly at Aqua Guild HQ." Lee Huyan's all, "Shin, find the stone." He shakes his head. "Nope, couldn't do it." The prez is like, "No worries, knew it wouldn't be easy," then asks why he hesitated. Donghoon's head down turning, she asks why he's acting weird, since he ditched the Red Bull Guild without a second thought. He just apologizes. Yun's smiling. "Love that you're a softie." Switching gears, he says he found someone who knows about the stone, revealing it's Q-Sung. Elsewhere, the main dude finally rolls up on his bike, finding Hiren and Yuri, who drove. The tanker jokes, "You're late." As usual, the mage agrees, "So slow, told you we should have left earlier." Sweaty, he apologizes for being late. They head in, noticing the lights are off. Inside, he guesses Hana's in the training room, but opening the door, he's totally shook by what he sees. Confused, the redhead's like, "Why are you just standing there?" Q-Sung yells, begging his friends not to enter no matter what. We see Hana's been murdered, tied up, with "Where is the stone?" scrawled behind her. When morning comes, the morgue crew arrives, taking the Guardian away in the pouring rain. Inside the house, the main dude's on the floor, looking like he hasn't slept in ages. A week later, Hiren drives back finding Yuri. She asks how he's doing, if he said anything. Yuri shakes her head, he's still silent in the training room. Tears in her eyes, the mage wonders why it happened, trying to switch topics. The short-haired girl asks about the Masters War match. Swallowing her tears, the redhead says they decided to take a break, just for another week, which the association's cool with. In the training room, Hyasung's head's still down, silent. Suddenly, memories of Hana flood back. Remembering their last chat, he finally lifts his head, mustering all his strength to stand. Our guy starts thinking about how Hana never mentioned the stone, wondering where it could be now. Then, out of nowhere, an idea hits him. Hiren pops up and asks if the dudes had any grub, but, surprise, he zooms past her, straight to his backpack like he's on a mission. After all, what are you even on about? Buzzing with excitement, he spills that Hana gave him the item before the match, meaning he had the key all along. The two girls are speechless, like, whoa. The trio hits up a notebook, diving into the folder the Guardian left on the flash drive. They find a file called "A Noble Person" and are like, This has got to be it. A video kicks off. And boom, Hannes on screen, leaving them all shook. The Guardian says if Q-sung's watching, she's either vanished or worse so, she's cutting to the chase. She spills that Lee Hyun's trying to use the demonic mineral to tweak humans for military stuff, but that's a big no-no by international laws, and breaking them could mean world war against Korea. Her plan? Sneak into the Aqua Guild for more deets, but if things go south, she wants Q-sung to have the Red Bull Guild's mineral, 'cause he's the only one she trusts. They hang on every word until Hannah drops that the mineral from her old guild is in Jiryeongsan, where detectors are useless to wrap it up. She smiles and tells them to always remember her. Her last words hit hard, and tears flow. Meanwhile, in the city, a protest's heating up, demanding the association pres Kim Nak one step down. Park rolls up with the cameraman, who's whining about the noise, asking if it's been a week already. Annoyed, the journalist grumbles about having to cover the protest, even though he thinks it's lame. Suddenly, the cap guy spots something by the protesters. With the camera ready, he asks where to aim. Park's like, doesn't matter, the script's set. Getting the hint, the cameraman starts filming, but gets blocked by protesters sweating bullets. He calls for the journalist, who snaps, what now? Freaked out, the camera guy says they should bolt, kicking off a wild chase, yelling. The journalist's like, why are they after us? The cap guy explains it's cause of the last negative report. After a bit, they duck into an alley gasping for air. The cameraman asks how they'll get more footage. Park just looks ticked off, feeling down. The cap guy mentions the report's due tomorrow. And they haven't even started, meaning DP Kim will scoop them again, told to zip it. He apologizes, marching ahead. The journalist says he's cooking up a plan a bit further. The cameraman spots Q-sung and his crew. Checking them out, Park's like, heard they took a break from the Masters War. Intrigued, Park decides to tail them to see what's up. Cut to a mountain scene where Huron, Yuri, and our boy just landed, breathing in deep. The mage is like, this air's awesome, seeing his buddy all hyped. The protagonist asks how they'll find the mineral on such a massive mountain. The redhead turns back, grinning, and shows off a gadget she brought. Q-sung's jaw drops at the sight. The mage says she bought it herself and it cost a ton. Over $1 million pumped. The protagonist asks to check it out. She nods, just tells him to be careful. Holding the gadget, he hits a button, and when it works, he shouts, let's start this expedition. A bit away, Park's grinning, but the cameraman's puzzled, trying to get a grip. He asks if they're on the wrong track. Park's like, nah, you're not on my level yet, and tells him to get ready to film. They follow the Gangmoon team. Clueless, they're being tailed too. After a while, Huron's not feeling the nature vibes anymore. Irritated, she asks if Ksung's using the gadget right. He nods, but the signal's all wonky. The young woman says she's beat Yuri, suggests they split up to find the mineral quicker. The protagonist agrees and says they should meet back here in 30 minutes. Hidden behind a bush, the cameraman asks who they should tail. Grinning, Park says the smart move is definitely the young dude. A bit further on, our guy grumbles about the signal still being glitchy and, after messing with the device a bit more, admits he's clueless about the right spot. Suddenly, a noise grabs his attention. Spinning around, he wonders if there's a wild critter nearby. Nervous, the guys start thinking they'll get busted as they hear footsteps closing in. But then, something unexpected happens, leaving them totally baffled. Sung whacks some bushes, revealing a trio of hidden baddies wielding a katana. A dude with blue hair says the young man's senses have gotten sharper. Eyeing the men, the protagonist says he could feel the killer vibes. While the journalist and cameraman wonder what on earth is happening without getting closer, the dude says he's got some unfinished business with the young man. Confident, our boy declares that his list will grow after today. The enemy zooms in for an attack, but the young man blocks it like a pro. Yelling, the assassin says he was waiting for him to be solo so no other master could back him up. The protagonist just stares at him, then lands a punch right after. Backing off, the dude wonders what kind of power that is. With his weapon ready, Sung says he doesn't need backup anymore. Nervous, the cameraman asks if calling the cops wouldn't be smarter. Park says nah and tells him to start filming what'll be known as the dark side of the hero of the Masters War. Far away, Yuri looks around, thinking that eyeballing for the demonic mineral isn't the best plan. Using her skills, the tanker tries to boost her senses. Meanwhile, Hyren's munching on a snack. With her mouth full, she figures she should be sensing something since the mineral's so strong. A noise grabs her attention, and when she glances to the side, the mage spots a deer staring at her. Smiling, she says the little critter's super cute, calling it over to get closer, but the deer bolts, stretching. The young woman says at least now that she's up, she can keep searching out of nowhere. A small pile of stones puts the redhead on high alert. The young woman starts running and peeking behind the stones, grins because she just found the mineral stuck in a trunk. Turns out, the minerals are made of a special material packed with power, which is why they're not found in the ground. Once collected, the energy from these minerals is extracted for use in the modern world. Since this energy's non-toxic and way safer than nuclear power, humans call it a gift from God. Even though back in the day, the lack of knowledge about demonic minerals caused mishaps, with great care, Huron takes a container and using a stick, pops the mineral inside, hugging the little pot afterward, stoked with her success. She thinks everyone's going to be amazed until suddenly, a noise far off catches her attention. Thinking it might be one of her friends, the redhead says it's not cool to take out frustration on nature for not finding anything. Then she skips off towards the meeting point. We cut back to the enemy, who keeps swinging blow after blow at Kyusung. As they fight, the two lock eyes intensely. Curious, another guy asks if the young man wasn't just a normal level master, which means there should be at least 2 rankers difference between them. Yelling, he asks the group leader how long the battle's gonna take. Our boy lands another hit on his opponent, sending him flying and crashing against a rock. The dude emerges from the dust, pretty banged up. Not getting it, the protagonist asks again why he's trying to off him, but gets no answer. Fuming, the dude talks about how the renegades also dreamed of leveling up and saving the world through raids, but at some point the number of invasions dropped, and the big guild started pressuring the government to hollow the remaining spots. And even though the normal masters tried to win back the right to join the raids, all they got was hate. So, no matter how much they rallied, nothing seemed to work, leaving them with no choice. While hearing the story, Kyusung wonders what that pill the enemy pop was. Suddenly, a light pops up around this dude, totally fueled by rage, asking if the kid even cares about his crew's rights before vanishing and reappearing behind our hero with lightning speed. He spins just in time to block the hit. He's thinking, why did this guy suddenly level up in power and speed? Yelling, the dude insists he has no choice, and our boy's just blocking like crazy until, boom, something wild happens. From a distance, you can see how epic the impact was. Kyusung steps out of the dust, wondering if he needs to unleash his special move. Hiren finally shows up, all like, what's going on here? She spots the kid and screams, found the mineral. Hearing this shocks the other baddies. The hero warns his buddy to be careful, but it's too late. The blue-haired dude's about to snatch the item. With Godspeed, the kid races to stop the disaster. The redhead turns and sees the enemy's hand. Then, after another impact, the crystal container just floats in the air. Turns out, Yuri's joined the brawl, just in time to stop the attack. The mage is confused, surprised to see her pal. The tanker spills, she had a bad vibe. Hiren yells, she lost the mineral. Our boy looks up, spots the item, while his foe struggles not to topple after losing an arm. Jumping, the kid tells his crew to leave it to him, but the other baddies pop up, saying it won't be that easy. One starts sprinting while the other tosses a rope, snagging the hero's hand and the container. Using all his might, he tries to smash the glass, while the strawman closes in, determined to grab the mineral. Yuri shouts for her friend to run, and when he doesn't, the mage fears the worst. With a hand on his head, the dude says the kid's got guts, trying to stop his power head on. We see the container and liquid on the ground. All beat up, the heroes relieve he didn't lose the mineral. Hannah trusted him with the strawman, says if the kid hands over the item, everyone can go home happy. Grinning, Kyusung says that's exactly what he wanted to hear, then yells for the tanker to grab the mineral. The girl shouts back, saying she got the plan. The hero gets ready to throw, but nothing happens. Confused, he tries to figure out why, realizing the stone's stuck to his hand. Charging for the attack, the enemy says hell take him down with his own fist, forcing our boy to put the mineral hand in front of him. The impact's gonna be huge. Watching everything, the other enemy says nothing will be left of the kid, while his friends scream his name. But when the dust clears, everyone sees Kyusung block the hit with just one hand. Even using all his strength, the dude realizes he can't hold on, quickly noticing his manas being drained, making him scream in agony. Then the blue-haired guy pops back up, aiming at the kid, and strikes, causing a wind tornado to form. A massive explosion visible from afar happens, while the girls and the enemy not fighting are wide-eyed. At the attack site, someone stands in the crater's center. The blue-haired guy decides to bail, but the hero shows up and stops him. The scene leaves Hiron and Yuri totally shocked. Our boy starts shaking before just collapsing. Quickly, his friends rush over worried. The mage asks if the kid's gonna be okay. The tanker says yeah, but mentions there's something more concerning than fainting, as Kyusung's left hand fully absorbed the demonic mineral, making him a walking target. We're taken to DBC headquarters, where the cameraman's holding a memory card, telling Park he knows what's up. Excited, the journalist asks the guy to play the video. He does, and with a click, the image pops up on the screen. But suddenly, everything goes dark. Nervous, the cap-wearing dude says showing the footage like that wouldn't be cool. Annoyed, the journalist asks him to play it again. Meanwhile, back at the battle site, Shin and the red-haired guy try to figure out what went down. Frustrated, the kid says the other guys must have bit the dust trying to get the mineral okay. Buckle up, cause this is gonna be epic. So his buddies all, yo, something's off, man. Besides Kyusung's trail, the fight got interrupted by some big shot. The other dude's like, wait, you saying there's still a Red Bull dude lurking? Donghun's all, no clue, but we gotta handle this ourselves. Hearing this, Hannes' assassin is not vibing. His buddy's like, dude, don't sleep on Kyusung's skills, they're almost guardian level. Plus, their master said the real deal starts after the Master's War wraps up. Meanwhile, in No Man's Land, the 9th war match is on, and Gangmoon's squad is totally owning it. One commentator's yelling, the hero squad's flexing some serious power. His buddy nods, they must have been grinding in secret. Then they hype up Hiron's explosive moves, which totally wrecked the Nakatsu team's DPS. The mage is like, hang tight, dude, and then powers up her retribution armor. The DPS, all charged up, jumps back into the fray. Mayoung stressing, Youngwoo, get ready. Jung was like, got it, and freezes the enemy. But it doesn't last long. The support's shouting, avoid the DPS for now. The big guy sneaks up on Hiron, where you think you're going? Hiron's like, why me again? But then Kyusung swoops in, blocking the hit. Annoyed, she's like, why are you here? You're supposed to be in the back. Yuri pops up, couldn't stop him. The redhead's like, you should have tried harder. He's still hurt. The tanker disagrees, better than him just chilling. The hero's going all out to beat his foe. And the squad's like, time to wrap this up. With a sick combo move, they snag their 9th win in a row. In the locker room, the hero's staring at his left hand. Youngwoo shows up. Wanna grab a drink? Then asks if he's planning to bail again. Our boy grins. Nah. So they head out to meet Ki, Soo, and Hyuk. At the bar, Kyusung's swarmed by fans, thinking, maybe I should have stayed home. Elsewhere, Hiron's like, Yuri, you think separating the mineral from his hand's gonna be tough? Yuri's researching, not sure, this is a first. In the past, engineers couldn't do squat in similar cases. Plus, the demonization's gonna finish in a week. Hiron's shocked. What does that mean? Thinking about Kyusung, her eyes go wide. Yuri smiles, the mineral's weaker now, split into 4 pieces. The redhead's worried, where's he at now? At the bar, the hero sees his friends totally wasted, thinking, better call Min Kook. Cut to the city, blue-haired dudes loading them into a taxi. Our boy's like, sorry for calling on your day off. Min Kook's chill, no worries. They down 3 bottles of soju. They sit in silence for a bit. Then Min Kook's like, thanks Kyusung. The hero's curious, why? Min Kook explains, the whole squad's grateful. 'Cause of you, we can dream of winning the Master's War. Our boy's like, I didn't do anything special. But Min Kook's like, at first, I thought you'd be dead weight. Then he saw him hyping the team and tanking hits, boosting everyone's confidence, so he thanks him again before the final match. The hero's speechless. And Min Kook's like, oops, talk too much. He runs off. See you tomorrow. Kyusung's thinking. He's a real one but also nervous 'cause the final match is coming up. So he heads home to chill. Next day, last day of the 46th Masters War, the commentator's like, Gangmoon team just made history in Asia. Turns out, they won the 10th match and are now waiting for the rankings to drop. Hyun Suk's all hyped, saying they've totally hit the top rank, especially the team leader, who should be at the Mammon level like a boss. In the arena, everyone's all ears, waiting to hear how much the rankings jumped. Even the teams that got wrecked after a few suspenseful minutes It's dropped that Q-sung's now in the Lucifer rank. Boom, the event blows up, airing on every TV in Korea, and Lee Se-rin's losing her mind. She grabs her phone, trying to cancel the broadcast, but nope, and she totally freaks out in the street. People are staring, whispering, but act all cool when she catches them. She remembers her sister calling her useless, then decides to ring up Carrier to find out where he's at. Meanwhile, Rin's thanking the squad for their hard work, saying they should cheer for the rank boost. Everyone's toasting, and Ksus the first to his beer like a champ, grinning. He says it took him 5 years to level up twice since becoming a master. Jong-woo's annoyed, asking why he's a level below him. Ki-soo says it's all about experience, bro. Hyuk's curious, asking what the protagonist's gonna do now that the Master's War is over. Q-sung's a bit confused, but says if he wants to join a guild, he's got options. The healer's pumped, asking if the Akia guilds hit him up yet. Nope, our boy says he's not into joining a guild, leaving everyone shook when asked why. He spills he's thinking of starting his own guild. After the drinks, everyone heads home, except the mage and the protagonist. Rin's curious, asking if her friend's really gonna start a guild. Q-sung's all smiles, saying yep, he's got plans. The mage is all desperate, asking what he's got in mind. Suddenly, the young man feels something off and with his speed, ducks with a girl just in time. After the attack, he's wondering what that was and who the miscovered duo are. Carrier pops up next to Lee Se-rin, saying the young man's pretty quick, while the girl says things are about to get tough. Out of nowhere, our boy takes a kick to the face. Rin's furious and ready to strike with her flaming fist, but the red-haired guy absorbs it. Grabbing her neck, Yoon's sister steps up, hoping the protagonist answers her question fast, saying she and her partner are searching for something. Carrier's impatient, suggesting they off the duo, but Se-rin notices Q-sung's body smoking. Using his shadow-walking skill, the protagonist's ready to save his friend. The red-haired guy grins before getting hit squarely. Our boy's raging, aiming at the enemy, but Shin stops him with one blow, putting him down. Looking down, the man's all, nice to meet you, kid. Yoon's sister's boyfriend steps up, saying he can handle it solo, noticing the young man's merged with the demonic stone, meaning they gotta take him to the lab. Carrier's annoyed, asking if they should take the mage too. The trio's clueless that Minkook's watching everything. At the Equal Guild HQ, Lee Hoyeon asks if the scientists can separate the mineral. The man's analyzing, saying the mineral's core is likely in the young man's heart, making separation impossible. The red-haired guy's chill, suggesting cutting out the stone, but finds out that spawned a first-class demonic creature instantly. He asks if their efforts were for nothing. The scientist denies it, saying, in a week, hell separate the mineral's core, turning Q-sung into an artificial demonic creature. Hyun tries to scream, catching Yoon's attention, who's confused, asking who she is. Carrier explains the redhead was with the young man during the kidnapping. After a moment, the Equal Guild leader tells the man to get rid of the girl. Outside, security guards are on standby. Hidden with the squad, Kaisa's feeling a bit nervous. Next to him, Jong-woo says he thought Minkook was bluffing until he heard Yuri's explanation. Hyuk's sweating bullets, saying it'd be way better if Mayan was here. The tanker steps up, saying it's go time for the plan. The Ranger's prepping for action, joking life was supposed to be easier after leveling up. He fires an arrow at the guards, who realize way too late they're in trouble. Boom, explosion. The blonde dude's like, let's roll guys, everyone's on board. Kicking off the rescue mission in the chaos, some dudes yelling to call the chief secretary. Two guys bolt, but Hyuk and Jong-woo pop up, saying this is just the start. The healer flexes his power, making enemies float so the Ranger can rain arrows. A guard grabs his sword, ready to fight, but the glass kid makes it vanish. The suit guys all, where'd these masters come from? Kisu's hyped, saying the Akia guild's no biggie, daring more enemies to show up. But unlucky for him, the dude's not scared. The healer yells for the blonde to check behind him. He turns and bam, it's Shin Dong-hoon about to strike, saying that talk doesn't suit the Ranger. Last second, the boy leaps, thinking one slip up and they're toast powered up. The man orders them to face him. Hidden inside, Yuri and Minkook are on a mission to find Q-sung, and Hyun powers activated. The girl apologizes, saying she never wanted them involved. The tanker grins, saying head help no matter what. Before splitting, they wish each other luck. Back outside, Donghoon's flexing his full power. The guys are freaking out, wondering how to beat a beast like that. After wrecking everything, the man taunts if they thought 3 could take him down, then asks if they're there for Kyusung. The trio's eyes go wide. Meanwhile, Carrier's trying to hold Hyerin, who's still cursing through the tape. Minkuk shows up, yelling for her to step back, but his attack gets blocked seeing his friend stuck. The mage fears the worst. The man, curious, asks who the kid is, but gets no answer, so he says they'll have some fun. Face down, the tanker feels his mana draining suddenly. The redhead strikes the enemy. Carrier's annoyed, saying he almost felt bad for her, blocking her fiery attack just in time. Tape off, the mage says she'll repeat what she said, promising to take them all down once free. Outside, Donghoon's left Hyuk and the crew pretty beat up. The man's impatient, saying it'll get worse if they keep fighting. Asking again who's in charge, Jongwoo shouts they're all there to save Kyusung. The tanker mocks, saying talentless folks use beliefs as shields, blaming others for their insecurities. Basically, they're just weaklings not worth notice. Kisu suddenly cracks up, saying it's been ages since he heard such nonsense. The healers worry the kids lost it. The ranger wipes his nose, saying he didn't know the masters he admired were just lapdogs, barking like one right after. Shin's furious, saying hell make him beg, and Jongwoo thinks his buddies really lost it blocking a hit. The blonde tells the healer to kick off the final plan, thinking it'll be a good distraction. About to land a deadly blow, the man tells the boy to scram. Kisu charges, yelling it's time for plan B. The healer sneaks up behind the enemy, using his close-up guilt move, but Shin's tough as nails. Still, the duo holds strong until the ranger sees they can't block an attack without a pause. The man uses his Korean crow song ability, making the boys back off. Hurt, he says if the healer's power was stronger, the plan might have worked. But, as expected, they're just trash. Kisu's freaking out, his mana's all tapped out, and he's like, what now? Donghoon's all chill, telling his crew to back off no matter what goes down. When someone asks the blonde dude his name, he just drops it, no sweat. The big guy's running, promising to him like he's in some action movie with no other options. The ranger jumps in, and with one epic smack, floors the enemy. The green-haired dude's all curious, asking how the young guy pulled that off without being a healer. The ranger's grinning, saying Jongwoo's skills aren't all that, which is why they kick in late with the big dude down. He takes a breather, knowing there's a ton of bosses left to tackle. Boom, suddenly the building's like kaboom. Kisu's relieved, thinking Yuri and Minkuk found Kyusung, so mission accomplished somewhere else. Our boys wondering who's rolling up. There's a demonic horse, and it's got a winged creature riding it. But plot twist, another version of him is chilling with the mystery dude. He's sweating bullets. Like, what the heck is going on? Out of nowhere, his clone turns its head, eyes shut, and he's totally freaked back in reality. The main guy wakes up with black eyes, thrashing like a wild thing. The scientist's grinning, saying he didn't think his drugs would cause such a wild ride, calling the energy-based master a biological wonder. He's thinking if this keeps up, they'll wrap things up faster. But then, a noise grabs his attention. He spins to the door, asking what's up. A guard slammed against the wall by Yuri, who's panting and saying she's here for her leader. Her entrance sends the scientist into a total meltdown. Meanwhile, outside, the security boss tells everyone to book it to the main building, worried the CEO's in trouble. Upstairs, Hyerin, Minkuk and Carrier are there. And Carrier's grumbling that the young woman's skills are as annoying as her attitude. The mage is saying their moves are strategic, and the enemy's realizing the redhead's got a wide, explosive attack range, and the tanker's covering all her weak spots, putting him in a bind. Lost in thought, he doesn't notice another attack coming his way. In the air, the blue jacket guy's ready to wrap things up, but the red-haired dude lets himself get hit for some reason. The duo checks out the impact zone. In a crater, Carrier's saying they're amazing, admitting he's got to use his special power, just like when he fought Hannah. Hyerin's eyes go wide hearing the Guardians name the enemy. Unseen, says the girl begged for her life, but he couldn't save her, even if he wanted to. Furious, the mage charges in, even though her buddy's saying it's a bad move. Before she can land a hit, the red-haired guy's hand shows up, making her power vanish. Fully transformed, the enemy says special powers like hers can mutate. What threw off many masters was not knowing they were up against a natural mage enemy, able to absorb mana. Quickly, the redhead realizes she's in danger, but Minkook swoops in just in time to save the day. The mage is yelling thanks. But Carrier's saying his plan all along was to lure the tanker with his shield. He lands a bunch of deadly hits, leaving Hiren in a panic. After tossing the young guy aside, the red-haired dude's like, now it's just us in the lab. Yuri's smashing all the machines, yelling at her friend to wake up. The scientist, all beat up, says it's useless. The young guy's in a deep sleep. Annoyed, the tanker smacks the scientist and tells him to zip it. Then she grabs Kyusung, ready to bounce, thinking she's wasted enough time. But Rin shows up, smirking, saying she can't leave the same way she came in, so it'd be smarter to put the guy back on the stretcher and leave quietly. The tanker knows she can't fight and carry the main guy, so she decides to make a run for it. But then, bam, 2 more baddies show up. Yun's all annoyed, saying the girl's making her feel super grossed out back on the upper floor. The mage and the red-haired dude are going at it. Hiren whips out her serious spear. But nada happens. She's all, wait, is this dude a melee fighter or a tank? Carrier's grinning, saying she'll run out of mana if she keeps it up, like he's got a mana radar or something. Then, bam, he uses some mage moves and she's got to jump to dodge. He's bragging, saying he's got a 730 record against mages, like he's the LeBron of magic fights. Hearing that, the redhead's fuming, but her mana's on E, so no big moves for her, so she's got to try out this new trick she picked up. She powers up, ready to unleash the supreme light of Indra. The dude sneaks up behind her, asking how she plans to catch anyone with her slow-mo spells. Hiren takes a hit, but stands her ground. The enemy's shocked, saying her persistence is wild, then realizes he's right where she wants him, hoping her move works. The redhead's like, let's see how tough you are. Boom, explosions everywhere. But when the dust clears, the fight's still on. Carrier's all beat up, but stays quiet. The redhead's like, wait, were you hiding more tricks? Turns out, he fainted standing up, so she rushes to check on Min-Cook back at the lab. Rin's watching Yuri, who's balancing like a pro, even with someone in tow, but she's bored, so she ties Yuri's legs to wrap things up. The tanker's shocked. Her feet are glued to the ground. The 2 strong dudes see their chance, but Yuri blocks both hits with her special move. She figures she's got to drop Kyusung for a sec to speed things up the guy's attack again, but Yuri pops her shield of confidence just in time. Knowing she's on the clock, she plans to KO them with 1 hit. She's zooming, showing she's got speed too. The strong guy yells when he gets hit. Charging forward, the friend goes for Rin, who's wide-eyed, not expecting that. She uses a barrier to dodge the attack. The tanker's shield shatters, and she bolts with Kyusung, making the redhead realize escaping was the plan all along. The short-haired master heads for the door, but something blocks the way. Yun throws her spear, apologizing for the late intro and her crew's rough welcome. Standing on the experiment tanks remain. She says she's the Akia Guild CEO, knowing what Yun can do. Yuri's like, oh, the president bows, asking for another shot to restore her crew's rep, while the tanker's thinking. They hear their names called, and Cinda and Ulu are like, yo. Facing the guys, the enemy says a guild's guardian shouldn't lose. The duo silent, putting Rin on edge. Seeing the guards pop pills, she's like, sis, are you trying to off them? The tanker realizes it's the same pill the renegade used. In seconds, a light wraps around the guys, and now they've got yellow eyes. Yun spills her plan, saying they'll target the short-haired girl, since they've got an hour before their toast. Yuri's cornered by the baddies, who attack without a second thought. 1 hit and her shield's toast, and to make it worse, they're not letting her get a hit in. Another hit sends the tanker flying one way. Kyusung the other, backing up. She's worried about the boy, but she's got to focus on Ulu, who's right in her face. Quickly, she realizes blocking without her shield is risky. Lucky for her, Min-Cook swoops in to save the day. Hiren's with him, saying it's time for the Gang Moon squad to shine. Yuri's stoked to see her pals, and the mage asks Yun if she's cool with more people joining the fray. Yun's chill, saying she can do whatever. One of the strong guys attacks again, blocking it. The tanker feels like her arm's gonna fall off. The mage jumps in, casting flames, but it just makes the angrier. The redhead's shocked. Her flames got snuffed out with a punch, while the tanker's all about keeping Kyusung safe. Charging in, she smacks Ulu, then tells the redhead to keep the dudes busy. With Min-Cook's help, the mage kicks the plan into gear across the room. Siren wishes her honor was still intact. If only the main dude hadn't shown up. Powering up, she's all set for payback. She claims even if our boy wakes up, he won't have the strength to lift a spoon. Yuri's sprinting to stop the redhead from hitting her buddy, but Yun pops up, blocking the path. Grinning, she says ditching the battlefield's a no-go. Siren lands a hit on Kyusung, but suddenly, she's in major pain. Turns out the main dude's sucking up her power, which ticks off the Akia Guild's praise. Rushing in, she stops her sis from hitting the floor, while the tanker notices the boys acting kinda weird on the battlefield. Hyrin and Minkook are going all out. Yelling, the mage checks if her buddy's done. Ulu and Cinder target the young dude, making his shield fly off. Seeing the attack coming, he thinks it's game over. But lucky him, a hand stops the big guy's weapon. It's the main dude, super stoked to be awake. Looking at the girls, he apologizes for the mess he caused, then thanks his pals big time. Yun, though, isn't thrilled. The guy's up and about. Thanks to the pill, Cinder's power goes boom, but the main dude's not even phased. Using two powers together, he leaps into the air, delivering a killer blow right after. Everyone's dropped. Kyusung's ready for round 2, while the Akia Guild's prez watches quietly. Yelling, Ulu decides it's go time. Worried, Yuri tells her buddy to watch out. Charging, the big guy's about to sneak attack, but before he can, the white-haired girl takes him down, leaving our boy kinda shocked. Grinning, Yun admits the pill idea flopped. Thinking, the main dude wonders what she's scheming. Out of nowhere, the young girl attacks, making the boy use his speed to dodge. Curious, the prez asks what he thinks of her power. Getting no answer, the young girl backs off, saying it's been ages since she had a good fight. So, she hopes the boy won't be a snooze fest. Then, bam, something happens. Grinning, the enemy says she's got a surprise for him. The ground suddenly gives way, making the main dude realize the building's sinking. Everything goes dark, and he's checking if his friends are okay. The other kids say they're good, which chills him out. Confused, Kyusung wonders what his rival's plotting in this place. A super bright light flashes, making him shield his eyes. Ready for action, the prez says it's been ages since she fought here, revealing it's her personal training zone, made of special stuff so nothing gets wrecked during fights. Plus, she wants to hand the young dude a sword. Our boy's shocked to see Hannah's weapon. Powering up, Yun says now that everything's set, they can start. They lock eyes for a sec before diving into the fight. The main dude's giving it his all to land a hit, but his opponent's a pro, dodging everything. Watching the fight, Hyrin says her friend's amazing, taking on Korea's top master. Yuri's a bit jittery, but notices the young dude's moves are different. Still, she's worried about his body since his energy's all over the place from the coma. The mage stays quiet, but her face shows she's stressed. Mid-fight, the enemy says she's gotta wrap it up quick, adding the young dude's the best master she's faced, so it's time to stop messing around. Thinking, Kyusung figures his opponent's gearing up for a big move. He blocks the hit with his sword, but the young woman breaks through. Peering behind him, Yun announces her second strike. The main dude realizes he's up against a super fast opponent, but still manages to turn just in time and defend himself. In the air, the girl shows it's not over yet. With the impact, the boy's knee hits the ground, thinking he can't handle this pressure much longer. Suddenly, something wild happens, and his eyes start changing color. Our boy's hand follows suit, and thanks to the demon stone, he resists the attack. Totally shocked, the AQ Wu Wei Guild president can't defend herself in time and gets launched skyward with part of his body transformed. The protagonist takes a deep breath, shouting. Hey Rin says the boy's state looks rough. But before she can move, Yuri tells her to hold up using her ability. The young woman says the boy's energy flow is stabilizing, and instead of being eaten by the mineral, his body vibes with. It's still airborne. Yun tries to figure out why her last attack flopped, realizing the boy controlled the mineral, making her a bit shaky. Even so, the young woman gears up to attack again. Launching a monstrous claw. Perplexed, the tanker wonders how the enemy pulls off such attacks so easily. Confident in his strength, our boy just watches the blow coming his way. The scene makes his friend nervous, but when the moment's right, he counterattacks, zooming through the claw towards his opponent. With not much else to do, Yun activates her special move, Phoenix Dance. While the protagonist speeds up with Godspeed, the two lock eyes until they clash in the center, causing a massive impact. After a few minutes, they're in hand-to-hand combat. An explosion of light happens. On the ground, Kyusung's friends don't blink for a when the dust settles. The protagonist is still standing, as is his opponent, who, even tired, says she wants a rematch. We're taken to the girl's past, discovering she trained hard since she was little. Shouting, her dad says power starts from pure kindness, adding that if she wants to lead a guild, she must get stronger. Unable to take it anymore, Yun lowers her head. The man sighs, saying even though he's aging, his daughters give him hope for the guild's future. He hopes their talents will be the sun and moon of the Aka group. The two little girls shout aloud, "Sir." Smiling, the man reminds them that both the sun and moon can lose their light in the present. The president states she'll keep her promise and, tearing her clothes, she reveals she gave up being human a while ago. Shocked, Kyu-sung wonders how she has 3 demon minerals in her body. Starting the transformation, Yun says they're quite similar. In the end, a purple light wraps around the young woman, while the protagonist stands still, just watching in her demonic form. The enemy says when she wiped out the 4 guilds, the mineral was her only goal. Our boy turns at the last moment, but it seems too late. With a blow, he's violently thrown backward. Approaching, the young woman asks if he's curious why she wants the mineral. Frightened, the protagonist realizes her speed has gone through the roof while attacking. The girl reveals after the Aka Guild president died, she put the demonic mineral in her heart. Seeing a new world reflecting, our boy wonders if there's someone else in the game. Yun says a mysterious being knew the mineral's power and asked her to gather them to create a new world. She delivers a deadly blow, but Kyu-sung blocks it with one hand, shouting. He claims she's just a foolish assassin using the minerals for power. Hearing this makes the enemy smile. Then, she reveals she knows what Hannah told him and claims the Guardian's words are fiction. Furious, the protagonist orders her to stop lying, as his ally died, exposing her evil plans. Unbothered, Yun says the girl lied, consumed by hatred. The boy prepares to attack but gets hit by the creatures. Then, she throws him backward after hitting the wall and falling. The protagonist shows he can still fight, even injured the enemy, then says if she's wrong, she'll give up the mineral. Intrigued, our boy asks how she plans to prove she's telling the truth. Confused, the young woman insists she already did. Disagreeing, Kyu-sung argues she hasn't proven anything she mentioned. Yun then claims he also saw the start of a new world when he was totally synced with the mineral. Astonished, the protagonist realizes the place he thought was a dream is actually real. Grinning, his rival says the mineral is a key to that place, so she wants him to hand over the stone. Using his new skills, the young man manages to fend off the attack. The problem is, the creature's not ready to quit. Heron jumps in, launching a fireball. Irritated, the enemy turns to block the attack, realizing too late that Minkook and Yuri had moved in. Still, she taunts that the two are trying hard to get themselves knocked out. The tanker plans the shield in front of him when he gets the signal from his buddy. Then, the short-haired girl throws a punch at the shield, showing the plan is to attack with sound. Yun freaks out and unleashes all her power. Now, it's time for the mage to use her special move. A tornado of blue flames wraps around the enemy, who starts screaming in pain. Relieved, the redhead says the plan worked. Agreeing, our boy asks how they came up with it. Yuri says since landing a physical hit was impossible, she decided to take a gamble. The squad watches the dust settle. When it does, the mage declares that finally, the girl has collapsed. However, the two tankers start shaking out of nowhere. Frightened, Minkook says the fight's not over yet, while the short-haired girl says Yun's mana is going through the roof. We see the president has morphed into a bizarre creature and is ready for round 2. Shouting, the tanker warns everyone to stay alert. The demon raises its hand to charge and attack, firing with everything afterward in the air. The protagonist is scared to see the building start to crumble, with just one hit. Flashback to the past. Little Yun found her dad dead after a battle. That day, she stopped believing in his words. Now, in her new form, the young woman blindly trusts the sun will never lose its light again. Instead, in her vision, it'll shine even brighter. Shouting, our boy warns the creature is targeting only Hiren. Trying to protect herself, the mage thinks about how her moves are slow due to low mana. Kyu-sung decides to team up with Yuri. The two leap into the air and once again he uses the tanker's shield as a step. Thinking this is the best time to strike, the boy delivers a killer blow. But to everyone's surprise, the creature dodges, even being massive. Running, Yun charges at the redhead. She braces for the worst, as in that state, dodging is a no-go due to the impact. An explosion of light happens. Worried, the mage's friends realize they won't make it in time. But luckily for Hiren, Minkook blocks the attack with his shield. Grinning, The young man says he couldn't be late this time, then he starts shouting, and his behavior confuses the creature. As well as his allies. Suddenly, the enemy gets tired of waiting and tosses the young man away using her tail. Activating his power again, Q-sung declares they need to stop the demon, no matter what. Yun charges again, showing how strong her body is. Frightened, the mage wonders if this is the end. Shouting, the protagonist tries to keep up with his rival. Suddenly, a super bright flash appears, and we see that this time it was Shin Dong-hoon who saved the redhead from doom. The man stares at the protagonist while he tries to figure out what's going on. Resisting, man states he had his reasons for leaving Red Bull and choosing Lee, who, thinking the young woman would make something possible. Then, he asks our boy to hit the mineral on the president's chest with all his speed, since if everything goes wrong, the creature will be exposed to the world. Additionally, Shin asks the young man to tell his friends outside they were awesome, and, before wrapping up his speech, he says he'll beg for Hannah's forgiveness. His clothes tear from the excessive effort after setting up a barrier. The man gives the signal to the protagonist. To help his buddy, Yuri decides to use all the mana he has left. Q-sung does the same and rockets towards the target. Using super god speed plus spiral stab, Yi realizes the danger little too late, clinging to the creature's leg. Dong-hoon says it's time for them to go home. The protagonist is inches from the monster until, suddenly, an explosion happens. Elsewhere, the president's all chill about her end but says no thanks to the main dude even if the minerals are won. She's not the boss of them. Curious, the young dude asks where the beginning of the world she mentioned is. The president spills that the place has the master's mysterious power and the creature's secret destructive forces. Totally confused, the main guy asks who this mysterious dude is, finding out it's the girl's teacher, who also took out his dad. Ikushoe, hearing that name, leaves Q-sung totally shook. Yun says the dude will keep chasing the mineral, since he's been doing that since he lost on purpose to Reggie Weed. The girl starts cracking up, but before she bounces, she asks the boy to protect Essie Rin from Ikushoe. Our dude's left solo in that big empty space, trying to process all the tea he just got. Then, the whole squad's watching the Aqua Guild HQ go down. Hiron's feeling kinda weird, while Yuri wonders if another big bad will pop up. Jong-woo asks what the main dude's gonna do with the mineral, while the blonde guy says selling it is the best play. Hyo tells his buds to quit joking about it. Our dude, then the battle showed him how the demon gates hit Earth. And even if the mineral might mess things up more, there's one thing they gotta sort out. Since they wanna stop the gate-caused chaos, everyone's gotta agree to one more raid, this time in the primordial world. Next day, the papers are buzzing about what went down at the Aqua Guild HQ. Ju-young, at the explosion site, says the cause is still a mystery, but the Masters Association sent a special team to check it out. A dude says he heard a boom at dawn and, clueless, called 192, but surprise, no signal. The journalist asks his buddy if there's any news on the rescue peeps. Nope, the young guy says Yun and Essie Rin are still Mia, along with other guild members still. The rescue teams are hustling to find survivors. Because of this, Tae-sung Kim, the Masters Association prez, quits, saying the accident's on him. With that, VPNAK-1 Kim steps up and promises to shut down the Aqua Guild for good. Later that day, a white-haired dude says the Aqua Guild prez really bit the dust, then asks if Q-sung did. Behind him, the old guy who asked the main dude for help nods in agreement. The young guy says he wants to see our dude with his own eyes. But the old guy tells him to chill, since the priority is ditching the Aqua Guild, and Q-sung's the most famous master in Korea. Touching him would turn the whole country against them. Then, the old guy spills he knows what happened to the mineral, making it super urgent to find the stone. Curious, the young guy asks what the old dude wants him to do without turning. The old guy says his plan is to make Q-sung face his hero. During the individual Masters War. 6 months later, a young dude with purple hair wonders why he got jumped in front of him. A creature with human teeth is ready to chomp. Running, the young dude wonders why the monster is so speedy and tough. Suddenly, he stops and thinks this is it for him. The monster charges, but Yuri stops it from munching. Annoyed, she asks how the young dude could just bail after what he did. Totally lost, the master wonders if he's really safe. The creature switches targets and goes for the tanker. Shocked, the young dude sees the girl doesn't mind getting hit head-on with her fist. The tanker lands a punch, making the enemy shut its mouth. Yelling, she tells the unknown dude to go to the other side to distract the creature. With no other option, the young dude goes for it. The monster spots him, and Yuri launches another attack that, even if it doesn't hurt the creature much, makes it super mad, saying she'll help the young dude. She tells him to hit the middle. Scared, the DPS wonders if they're going for the ping-pong move suddenly. Something flies through his hair, turns out it's a sword. The tanker grins while the mystery dude's all puzzled. Kyusung zooms past the guy, sword in hand, and slices down the creature's back like a pro. The purple-haired dude's mind is blown watching him go. In the heat of battle, our hero's dodging attacks like he's got a cheat code for the monsters. Yuri, all smiles, says the dude's moves have leveled up. Our guy gives props, saying it's all thanks to her. Then they team up for an epic final smackdown. Poof, the monster just vanishes. On the ground, our hero jokes they took longer than last time. The tanker agrees, saying they gotta hustle. Back home, Hiron's wondering when her squad will roll in. And bam, the door swings open. Kyusung beams, announcing their return, but the mage is all grumpy about the wait. The dude argues they crushed a Luciferank raid in under an hour. But seeing the redheads not buying it, he just says sorry. The tanker rolls up with food for her buddy. The mage dashes over and snatches the box like it's treasure. Yuri spots our hero sneaking off and asks where he's headed holding more grub. He says he's got a delivery mission. Munching away, Hiron says it's a waste of time. Kyusung reaches a door, takes a deep breath, and asks if he can come in, but there's no answer still. He opens the door anyway. Across the room, Lee Saren's just chilling in a chair. Our hero asks if she's eaten, but she stays silent. He steps closer, saying he grabbed her something on the way back. With a serious face, the master asks if he's there to rub it in. He denies it, saying he knows she hasn't eaten in 2 days. She says it doesn't matter. Nothing changes just 'cause he's nice, and she still sees him as a killer. Kyusung's left speechless. Hiron barges in, saying just 'cause the enemy can talk doesn't mean she should, then blames Yoon for almost getting everyone killed. Our guy tells the mage to chill, but she just asks if she's wrong. Head down. Saran asks them to leave. The redhead yells she should be grateful, not calling her savior a killer. Without looking up, the girl asks again to be left alone. Our hero tries to calm Hiron until Yoon's sister suddenly screams for them to leave. Yuri shows up at the door but stays quiet. The redhead's fuming, saying she won't leave just 'cause she's told to. Kyusung takes her hand, gives her a serious look, and asks her to chill. Finally, the mage decides to bounce. The tanker watches them leave, then says everyone feels awkward with Saran around, but it's for her safety since Iku Shoei's after her. Before leaving, Yuri spills what Yoon said before dying and hopes the girl will stay until they find a safe spot. Lee Saran stays quiet but starts thinking about her situation. Cut to another scene where an old dude's asking a lady how things are going. Hearing everything, he chuckles. Nakwon Kim, sitting across, says handling proud masters is tough, so maybe team up with the Aqua Guild before taking over raid seeds. The old dude disagrees, saying central control groups should lead. They stare each other down until the president realizes it's time to ask what the old man wants, laughing. The old guy asks if he was that obvious, then says he needs 2 things. First, the president's gotta set up a masters tournament. Kim apologizes, saying it's the old man tells him not to stress, revealing he's already hit up the World Master Society. So just set the dates. The president asks about the second request with a creepy grin. The old man says Nakwon's gotta make Kyusung the top master in Korea. The goatee guy's shocked, but when asked, he agrees to do it. Smiling, the old man says he's out, but before leaving, he turns and jokes that the guy looks better without a beard. Intrigued, the secretary's all, "Who's the old dude with the prez?" The guy spills the beans, saying he's the strongest master ever and now the big boss of the Ikkyu Guild. The woman's mind is blown, realizing she was just chilling with Ikkyu Shoei. Flashback to Se Rin's secret lair in her room. She's snoozing like a baby until the thought of being hunted jolts her awake in the training zone. Kyusung's replaying Lee Ho-yun's last words, "Sword up, ready to train like a boss." The redhead pops in, and he's all, "Did you pull an all-nighter?" With a face like a zombie, she's like, "Can't sleep with all this racket." Our dude's like, "Oops, my bad for the noise." But Se Rin's chill about it. Turning back, he's all sorry for Hai Rin's drama yesterday. The master's confused, asking why he's being nice when he's supposed to hate her. Kyusung tries to explain, but she figures out he's keeping a promise to her sis. She's like, "That's not gonna fix things." Our guy's like, "I know, that's why I'm gonna stop Ikkyu Shoei." Se Rin's curious, asking how he plans to pull that off. Staring her down, he's like, "I'm gonna get the association's help." Hearing this, the redhead cracks up. She's like, you really think the whole nation's got your back? He's silent, and Yun Sis is like, even with help, you can't stop him, he's got power beyond any country. Mind blown, the protagonist's like, how's that even possible? As she leaves, she wishes him good luck with training. Shouting, our guy's like, loads of people can stop Ikyu Shoei like Reggie we did, but Essie Rin's like, dream on, dude. Meanwhile, in a Nevada military zone, 2 guards get caught in one hit. In a room, a blonde dude tells Colonel Garrison something's up at the gate. The big guy checks the cams and tells him to call the counterterrorism team. The soldier tries, but surprise, all lines are dead. Shocked, the colonel grabs the headset, figuring if the Mammon-class masters are down, the enemy's super strong. Yelling, he orders security to level 5, promising to protect the VIP outside. Garrison scoping the scene, saying not many have this kind of power. Suddenly, intruders show up. Grinning, the white-haired guy's like, my buddy did all this. Yelling, the big guy's like, this is a no-go zone, so taking out intruders is no biggie. Then, he powers up, and so do his crew. Leading the charge, the young guy's like, if my friend fights, this place'll be toast, so I got this. The colonel and his crew attack, but a cube barrier blocks them. Their hits just bounce off. Annoyed, the big guy's like, oh great, a mage. The young dude clenches his fist, making 2 soldiers go boom. Seeing the colonel's confused, he's like, this space is my turf now. The other enemies watching from afar, seeing their pals are toast, taunting. Garrison's like, gonna be tough fighting me with those cheap tricks. Smiling, the white-haired guy's like, you're pretty cocky. Huh? Focusing all his power, the big guy's ready to strike. His punch nails the barrier, but nothing happens, so he figures his opponent's blocking all attacks. Still with his hand up, the young guy's like, your hits are stronger than I thought, so my defense has to be top-notch. Black smoke creeps up on the big guy, who, focusing, shows his full power by smashing the barrier. A bit impressed, the mage is like, well, that was fun. They face off, and the boys pump for round 2, unlike the colonel. Trying to get the upper hand, the man slams both hands on the ground. The young guy's confused until he sees something rising under his feet. Suddenly, his stone structure makes him leap into the air, and the young woman realizes staying out was pointless. Grinning, the mage is like, nice move. Determined, Garrison's like, let's see you handle air attacks, then fires a bunch of energy spheres. Protected by a shield, the young dude's all, I'm gonna level up so this fight ain't just kiddie stuff. On the ground, he's flexing. But surprise, his opponent sneaks up behind him and traps him with another barrier. Plot twist, he's all, where'd this mage even come from? Before getting literally blown up, boom, when the dust clears, the colonel's still kicking. A bit banged up, but a live tough cookie, right? The white-haired kid's like, pausing between attacks is like giving the enemy a free pass, which the big guy does a lot, making him weak sauce. Out of nowhere, a sword drops from the sky, freeing the colonel and grabbing everyone's attention. Epic entrance. Much? A wind tornado swirls around them until someone pops up, saying it's super rude to start a fight in front of someone else's crib. The enemy's thinking, oh snap, I'm up against the strongest master ever. Facing the young dude, Reggie Weed's like, the colonel ain't weak, and if you don't spill the beans on this mess, you're not leaving here. The mage notices the master isn't packing a bow, so he's thinking he might have a shot at winning. They lock eyes, but the dark-haired guy makes a move, giving a little smack and saying, better not do anything rash, dude. Feeling cornered, the enemy's like, guess my master was right, I'm not ready for this level of boss fight. So he just says, sorry for being rude. On one knee, the young dude introduces himself as Len, and his buddy's like, Hazuki. Reggie's curious about this invite, so he asks what's up. Len spills, it's an invite to the individual master's war. No hesitation, the master shuts it down and tells the colonel to nab the duo. The mage figures he's got to drop his master's name, so he says Ikyu Shoei wants to keep a promise from 10 years ago. And the 12 disciples got invites too for this event in Korea in 3 months. Bowing all the way, Len's begging the dude to accept, wondering what hell tell the old man if he flops. Lucky for him, Weed's like, alright, it'll be there. Hearing this makes the mage grin. We switch to Hiren, who's all hyped to head out after getting ready. She hits up a store, grabs a new outfit and some earrings on the street. A food stall catches her eye. She orders a seaweed roll with veggies and fried squid yum, but as soon as she digs in, she drops a dumpling and stains her dress with sauce. Oops. Annoyed, she yells for the culprit. Sweating, the young guy's like, what's the issue? Pointing at the stain, Hiren's like, you elbowed me and messed up my dress. The guy's all, sorry, gotta bounce, urgent stuff to do. With nothing else to do, the mage watches him dash off. Even though she's bummed, she keeps going, thinking about how pumped she was before her anger shifts to Siren, who's still hiding suddenly. A poster of Q-Song on a building catches her eye. She's stoked for her friend's success. Across the street, the guy from before calls out to her, apologizing again, irritated. The mage is like, "Why do you run then?" Bowing, the guy's all really had urgent stuff. He hands her an envelope, saying it's for dry cleaning the dress. Hiren's like, "Nah, just forget it," nervous. He's like, "If you don't take it, it'll feel bad," turning away. The mage is like, "It's cool, gotta rush to an appointment." She starts walking, and the guy decides to tag along a bit further. She turns and asks why he's following, smiling. He tries to explain but fumbles his words, thinking he wants her digits. Hiren's like, "I don't need the cash." The guy rummages in his bag and, touching her shoulder, says he wants to invite her to the Master's War. Confused, she's like, "What are you even talking about?" They end up in a restaurant, and the guy spills he's an assistant to the association. Asking if the mage can forgive him, she says sure, but wants to know how he knew who she was. Holding up a notebook, the redhead spills the tea that all the deets about the invited masters are scribbled in there. Then he starts reading out loud everything he's jotted down about the girl. When he mentions her mood, she's like, "Is that really necessary?" and wonders what happens if she just says, "Nah." The redhead's jaw drops, asking how she could even think of saying no, practically begging her to join the squad. Curious, Hiren's all, "Who else got the invite?" But the dude's clueless, even though it's all kind of sus. The redhead kicks off a round of intros, grinning. The guy's like, "Oops, my bad for not introing earlier," and drops his name, Iku Tetsuya. The mage is shook, saying she didn't expect a Japanese dude to speak Korean so well. The redhead spills he learned from his dad. But since he's clueless about Korean addresses and has more invites to hand out, he's hoping the girl can help. Hiren's like, "Nope, not happening." The dude's so shocked he practically faceplants onto the table. The mage just stares as sweat drips down his face. Meanwhile, Kyusun's at home, sweating bullets after seeing his buddy with Iku. She explains she had no choice but to bring the guy there. The redhead grins, saying it's lit to meet the duo. Elsewhere, a guy's apologizing to Iku for leaving someone solo. An old dude's worried, saying the person just came down from the mountain and might stir up trouble. The suit guy's like, "Chill, I don't see the big deal." The master disagrees, saying he doesn't know the person, so he can't be sure. Turns out they're talking about Iku Tetsuya, who's been a sore loser since forever, even beating a regular master. Before even waking up, the guy's in shock. The old dude laughs, saying the young guy tried to challenge him after waking up. He's worried Iku might challenge a guest and leave them caught. The suit guy's eyes go wide, asking if that's for real. Back at Siren's hideout, the redhead intros himself. Yuri's all smiles, asking everyone to chill while she grabs some drinks. Siren heads to her room to change. A few minutes later, coffee's served. Taking a sip, the guy's hyped, saying the drink's fire. The tanker compliments his Korean. The mage stops him from retelling his language story, asking him to cut to the chase and hand over the invite. Kyusung wonders why his buddy won't cut Tetsuya some slack. The redhead's annoyed, asking if her new clothes will magically clean themselves if she does. When the guy doesn't answer, she tells the delivery dude to hurry up, yelling if he didn't hear it's go time. Calmly, the guy says they've actually arrived, since the last invite in Korea is for the master right in front of him. Yuri's curious why that is, while the main character questions if the guy's sure. He confirms, saying he'd love to meet him, hearing he's got an epic backstory. Siren's fuming, asking why the redhead didn't say from the start the last invite was for Kyusung. The guy chuckles and she's like, "You won't be laughing for long." Curious, our boy asks why the tanker's not on the list, but the guy's got no clue. Noticing the girl's bummed, he says she can still sign up for the event. Once everyone gets it, he's hyped, shouting he's super stoked for the upcoming Masters War. The mage is confused, asking why the hype, since the event's every 2 years. Tetsuya spills that this time, all masters can join with no time or skill limits. He asks if it's the main character's first time. He nods, hearing the guy awaken just a year ago. The redhead's mind blown. Our boy awkwardly thanks him, but the guy whips out his notebook, reading all about Kyusung. Siren's like, "Why wasn't my description as cool?" Ignoring her. The delivery dude's curious if the main character's ability works in a team-up. He says hell find out during the war. Grinning, the guy asks if he can challenge him to a match right there. The mage is intrigued, saying the place is too tiny for that. But the redhead's like, no worries. Leaving everyone puzzled outside, he draws 2 circles on the ground and, when asked, says it's the stadium. The redhead's all, no sport needs a doodle stadium, while Kyusung's like, what game is this? Iku explains, to win, push me out of the circle. If your back hits the ground or feet touch the line, you lose. But if the opponent gives up, you win. Curious, our boy's like, what's the dot in the middle? The redhead goes, that's HQ. If HQ's taken, you lose. Finding it fun, the protagonist asks if the mage can give the start signal. Even though she's not thrilled, Hiron agrees. Quickly, the game kicks off and, to Kyusung's surprise, his opponent's super fast. The girls are speechless, while Tetsu is like, new head dodge. Thinking, the protagonist realizes this isn't a normal pushing game. Shouting, the mage is like, wasn't that too violent? But he says he just pushed. Our boy's like, it's cool, no worries, it was just a push. The delivery guy gears up for another attack. But this time, the young man's ready. After ducking, the protagonist counterattacks, but he gets hit by his opponent's hand. They start trading blows until Kyusung changes position. The two stare each other down for a few seconds before attacking at the same time, causing a bright flash. Neither moves. Both smile. Bored, Hiron's like, this isn't a fight. Ika's surprised by the protagonist's power, while the latter's like, Ika's amazing doing squats. The redhead suggests they get serious. The red-haired girl's like, was he bluffing? But our boy knows he wasn't, as he didn't use mana. Unlike him, who had to use energy to protect himself. Activating his power, the redhead's like, let's start seeing the guy use mana. Kyusung moves to hit the blind spot of his opponent's arm. But, surprise! The delivery guy blocks it with one hand. Confused. Our boy's like, how'd he catch me? Realizing the guy showed his weak point on purpose. Determined, Tetsuya's like, the fight ends here. Yuri's worried, while Hiron's like, is he trying to kill him? The redhead's hand moves toward the protagonist's face, but he jumps away just in time. Surprised, the delivery guy's like, how'd he twist his arm like that? After freeing himself, our boy delivers a double leg blow, leaving friends relieved and hyped. Seeing his opponent on the ground, he says the game was fun, thinking if he took more hits, he'd surrender. Kyusung offers a hand to help Iku up, but he says the game's not over. His foot's still in the circle. Shocked, the protagonist's like, how'd he withstand that blow? The delivery guy looks back with a creepy smile, scaring our boy more without hesitation. Tetsuya delivers a big blow. The tanker and mage scream, stop, but he stares like he's possessed. Thinking, Yuri's like, his violent side's gonna get worse if left alone. Activating her power, she gears up to join, but the protagonist's like, don't do anything, no matter what. The tanker listens, while the red-haired girl's like, he's such an idiot. The redhead preps for another attack. Power in one hand. When hit, Kyusung feels the impact, even with his guard up, knowing defeat's near if this keeps up. Determined to end it, our boy launches into the air. Yuri's like, what's he thinking? Why isn't Iku taking HQ? The protagonist's about to headbutt, but the redhead catches him last second. Since it was all part of his plan, our boy uses Godspeed, but gets blocked again. Thinking, he realizes the guy's physique is insane. They engage in a shoulder battle until Kyusung starts getting pushed back. Suddenly, his demonic side pops up to say hi. Then a huge explosion happens. Due to the shockwave, Yuri thinks one of the dudes might have just passed out cold. The girls hang tight, waiting for the dust to chill. Hiron's all annoyed, saying the courtyard's a total disaster thanks to those two knuckleheads. Quick as a flash, the tanker notices her buddies looking kinda off. She bolts to the crater and spots the main dude with half his body looking all funky. Seeing him shaking, she wonders what on earth caused that. Figuring out that whatever it is, they're all clueless. Yelling, she tells the mage to hit up any healer or support they know. The red-haired girl, all jittery, says she's on it. Meanwhile, Tetsuya's still out like a light. Our guy's making a weird face, which freaks the tanker out even more. Seeing the scene, she realizes if they don't hustle, things are gonna get real bad, real fast. Seeing Yuri with her hand out, Hiron's like, what are you doing? Yelling, the girl says Kyusung's losing to the mineral and needs to act. Fuming, the redhead's like, why do you think offing the dude's the best plan? They lock eyes for a sec. Then, out of nowhere, a yellow light pops up, coming from Lee Saren's hand, who finally decided to step out a bit later. Kyusung wakes up and finds his two pals staring at him. Turning his head, he's shocked to see the redheads there too. The tanker asks if he's alright. Nodding, he says his shoulder's just a bit sore. With arms crossed, the mage says that was the dumbest fight she's ever seen. Our guy says sorry for the chaos, while Saran decides to bounce, yelling. He thanks her and says she helped him snap back to reality. Looking sideways, Yansis says she only did it to stop the racket before she fully heads out. The main dude asks if she could heal Tetsuya too. The redhead then spills that, surprise, the guy's been awake for a while. Hiron strolls over to the delivery dude and, tapping his shoulder, waits for a reaction. When nothing happens, she pinches his cheeks and calls him a pain. Grinning, the redhead says he's embarrassed, revealing he knows Saran the mage is like, how's that possible? Iku says they're pals. The girl denies it, saying it's not quite like that. Agreeing, the master says calling them friends is kind of vague. Amused, Hiron asks if they're a thing. The dude denies it, while Yansa says he's Iku Shoei's kid. The info leaves everyone wide-eyed. Yuri quickly steps in front of Saran, but she says chill, no need to worry, the redhead's not tight with his dad. Laughing, Tetsuya says she hasn't changed a bit, smiling. The redhead says the same goes for him, watching from a bit away. Kyusung says no wonder the dude's so strong. Suddenly, the redhead calls out to him and says his skills totally meet the invite's requirements. Hearing this makes the main dude grin. Then, they shake hands and start chatting about the fight. Iku admits he thought his mountain training was top-notch but learned a lot from the fight. Admitting he lost, the main dude disagrees, saying he also passed out impatient. Hiron says they can call it a tie. Later that day, the redhead says he's stoked for Kyusung's show at the Masters War. Excited, the main dude asks if he'll be there too and, with a nod, says they'll meet in 3 months. Yuri takes the chance to guide Tetsuya to the bus stop and they say their goodbyes. It's then the main dude finds out he's got to clean up the garden mess after a few hours. He finally wraps up and, taking a deep breath, checks out the hand holding the demonic crystal. Our guy thinks about how it's taking longer to get back to normal after transforming. Saren shows up and says it looks like he can't control the mineral anymore. Switching topics, the main dude thanks her again, but she says she's there to find out his plan, since, after scanning him, she found out the rock that melted in his hand is now a Fulan mineral. Impossible to control, and there's no gadget nearby to handle the shakes. Our guy asks if there's another way. The redhead's all, nope, no matter how hard you try, nothing's stopping the transformation, and I'm gonna be the first master to wipe out humanity. So, it's best for the dude to keep his left hand on the down low to dodge the government's radar. Kyusung drops to his knees, yelling, asking again if there's another way, cause he's not about to just chill and wait to turn into a demon. Saren's got her back turned, while the main guy's all, you know more than you're letting on. Hearing this makes her grin. She spins around, saying, bummer, the mineral whiz from the Aqua Guild's toast. But the squad's always been about finding the guy's sister, who might be the only one who can help you out. On TV, a salesman's hyping up the latest car, running on mineral energy, and there's something even cooler. This ride's got a brand new system. Just swap the mineral filter once a year, and it's good forever. Sounds epic, but folks are just strolling by like it's no biggie. After catching this ad, a glass is dudes all, people are seriously clueless. Meanwhile, the main guy's hunting down an address to chat with Dr. Kim, the mineral guru. Finally, he lands at what's probably the doc's hideout. After knocking a bunch, our dude's feeling kinda hopeless. Then he remembers his chat with his pals. They're worried and didn't want him flying solo, but he tried to chill them out, saying he doesn't feel any pushback. At least that's a relief for the blonde girl, but word is this doc's a total nut job. Our guy asks how she knows. She's got pals in the mineral biz who say the doc's bonkers, but her skills are top tier. Knowing this, our dude's only worry is if he'll actually get help from her. His brunette buddy tells him to chill. If a master like him asks for help, they're bound to lend a hand. And yeah, with all the recent drama, he's basically a celeb and the association's poster boy. Our guy didn't see this coming, but he's kinda flattered. Curious, the blonde girl asks if he bribed the association, but sums all, I don't even have the cash for that. Even though he's not loaded, he's definitely getting famous in Korea anyway. The blonde girl finds it weird how all the ads flipped overnight. Before, it was Saren, now it's him. They're all thinking about it, feeling a bit bummed. The brunette girl tells him not to sweat. The master's lineage was saved cause he stopped Yun Li, even if he had to merge with the mineral. Everything he's done is a huge deal. They also got a take on Shoei, a total mystery, and for that, they need his backup. That's why they're sure this doc will help him out somehow. 'Cause he's got a good heart. After remembering this chat, our guy finally gets a response from a woman with glasses being super polite. He asks if she's Dr. Kim and introduces himself. But the woman behind the door is not feeling it, and she locks it again, leaving our guy puzzled. But he hears yelling inside. The woman's calling her grandma, saying some dude's here to chat. The old lady wants to know who he is, and her granddaughter's all see for yourself. Finally, after all the yelling, the supposed doc meets our guy. He introduces himself nicely, saying he heard she's the mineral queen. The old lady stays quiet after the compliment. Sung spills that he's in a tight spot right now, so he needs her help. The old lady cuts to the chase, asking if he's got cash. He's confused, but she says it'll be pricey if the mineral's been absorbed. Sung's shocked. She guessed that without more info, so he asks how much. The doc says it'll be 1 million up front, and after the op, success or not, another 1 million. As soon as he heard that price, the main dude was totally shook. He was all, this is crazy expensive, and I'm in a tight spot, no cap. Now they're having this intense staring contest. The old lady decided to lock her apartment door again. Our guy thought he got the boot, but surprise, surprise, the door swings open again. The old lady told him to stop loitering outside. Time to come in. Sung was super hyped about the invite, hope levels rising. Inside, he showed his messed up hand, and they slapped some sensors on it. The old lady was all chill, checking out the situation. Sung took a shot, saying he's broke and wants to haggle. But the doc already knows he's broke. No way he's got that kind of cash. Last time someone asked for her help, they tried to make her sign a contract and she shredded it like a boss. Hearing that, our boy got a bit sus, and she asked her granddaughter for the scissors. She said the bigger the lumps, the more arrogant they are. People don't get minerals, thinking they're just tools to make life easy. Few want to know their true nature. Finally, the scissors were handed over. After that, the old lattice granddaughter bounced again. Looking at our guy, she asked if he mixed up the two. Something the old lady expected. Most people who visit her make that mistake. The girl must hate it. Finally, the procedure was done. Sung was stoked to hear that he didn't think he'd ditch the mineral so fast. This doc's a legend. Annoyed, she said the boy's a bit of a goof. She just finished checking his hand, a bit red-faced. Sung asked what the verdict was. The doc said cases like his are rare, the mineral's super rare, and even experts gotta be careful. Her take, dismantling it is a no-go. Words that got our guy worried. Continuing, the doc said the mineral's root hit his heart. And even with a super precise surgery, no guarantees. Pretty freaked by this, Sung wants to know if there's really no cure. The old lady said he's a funny kid. She let him in but never promised a fix. Our boy started feeling down. This diagnosis could flip his world. Now the old lattice got questions. Time for the master to drop some knowledge. She wants to know how he got the minerals from the gate of tragedy in his hand. After hearing that, our guy went silent. The old lady already guessed what went down and asked if Sung took down the Aqua Guild. Our boy said he didn't do it solo. And the old lady said nothing's more believable than a wild rumor. She's kinda surprised, but it doesn't seem like he's fibbing. Once more he asked if there's another way to bounce back. And again, the old lady said he's got no shot, but there's a twist. No one knows that mineral better than her, since she broke it into 4 pieces. Our guy was totally floored by this reveal. It all went down in the fall of 1952. Some kids watching the distant chaos. They want to know if the masters will stop at this time. And one kid said his bro's leading. And he's the strongest he knows, but the girl said none of that matters if he doesn't make it. Her friends thought she was a bit harsh with that. While they watched, something went down again. A huge creature popped out of the tornado. It's gotta be the final boss. One kid was super worried. While the captain's bro was getting hyped, the girl said don't party too hard. That's the most powerful demon. Even so, her friend thinks his bro will take it down, while another's hoping it works out. They kept watching the epic battle on the horizon. But it dragged on so long the boys dozed off. Until finally, something different happened, grabbing all their attention, and they started cheering. The creatures vanished. It's likely the masters won, and the captain's bro started sprinting towards it. The girl was super stressed, asking what he was up to, and the friend was all, gotta find my bro, he's a hero now. She tried to warn them it was still sketchy, but they totally ghosted her. Ignoring all the danger, the squad rolled up to the battle scene. They tried to find people, but the place was giving off major weird vibes. It felt like a demon could pop out any second. The girl said her friends were acting like little kids, and one dude got his foot stuck. He freaked out, thinking a demon had grabbed him. The girl, staying chill, told him to zip it. He just got caught in a root. Then they kept moving through the super empty place. Finally, they found the heroes who won the battle. The scared dude dashed over, thinking he'd find his bro. But when he got there, he saw something super worrying. Those heroes didn't look like winners, and some were really hurt. The boy started to freak out. One of those heroes wasn't even alive. His friend showed up and saw it too. The one who was gone was his brother, and he couldn't believe it. He thought his bro would be the greatest hero ever, but he ended up as plant food too soon. While he tried to deal with it, everyone else stayed quiet, letting him process his grief. The next day, the sun lit up everything. The girl with the kids saw Master Zion coming. He asked how she was doing. She said she was fine, but was confused about why he was there. Zion said he needed a favor. Once he had her attention, he said they needed to chat about it, then asked how Yum was. The girl said he was still quiet and super sad. Zion expected that, and the girl asked what favor he needed. The master said it was tough, and if she didn't want to, it was cool, but she was all in. He showed her a container with a mineral from the demon gate. He wanted to know if she could break it into pieces. Experts tried, but no luck. He believed she could do it. She was shocked because it was super valuable. Zion also had a gift, but wasn't sure if it was right. It was glasses. When she put them on, Zion asked if she could see better. Her vision, which was blurry, was now crystal clear. She was stoked while Zion was glad. She liked it. Someone took the container. Accepting the favor, she said she'd give it her all. After getting the material, she studied it to understand it before starting for 4 days. She worked non-stop but couldn't figure out the mineral's properties. They usually have mysterious powers based on 6 traits. Leading her to a conclusion: the mineral was something humanity hadn't discovered yet. She rushed to Master Zion to spill the tea. She burst into his office, excited to share her discovery. The master was in a meeting with a soldier, but he recognized her. He asked her to chill and explain again. Once she calmed down, she said the mineral's nature was unknown. This news shocked the master. Seeing her confidence, he got even more worried. He admitted he didn't know what it meant, which was why he was confused. Kim said the mineral's essence determined its value, with a grin. The master thought they were just talking price. Now that she shared this, Kim asked why he wanted to split the mineral. He said he made a promise. Praised her work, but she said it was just the start. Impressed by her dedication, Zion said she could use the lab from then on. So, the plan was to give her the room earlier, but it was she was totally stoked about it. With that room, she could dive deep into her mineral research. After some tests, she found out the mineral had some super weird properties. She mixed it with lab samples and it just gobbled them up. Usually, minerals are like, nah, not today. But this one was all, gimme more. This blew the master's mind, and the girl was like, wait, there's more. Turns out the mineral's got vital signs like a living demon, and it can chat with other demons. Zion was like, no way, that's wild. The girl hasn't done much digging yet, but she thinks this mineral could open a demon gate. And Zion was like, whoa, that's insane. This mineral's both super dangerous and mega powerful. Zion thought splitting it was smart. So he went back to the girl. Even though the war's been over for ages, things are still shaky. If people find out about this mineral's power, chaos could come back now. This girl's got the fate of the nation in her hands, so Zion asked her to split the mineral into 4 pieces again. Knowing the huge task ahead, Kim was like, challenge accepted. Back in the day, she was so into her research she lost track of time. Turns out, she'd been at it for a whole month. Thanks to her hard work, she split the mineral into 4 pieces, which was epic. Zion dropped by the lab with a slice of cake. Right when she nailed the mineral split, she was so pumped about her success. She even hugged Zion, her forever crush. Later, he handed the other pieces to the 3 remaining masters, giving Kim a big thanks. He also gave the last piece to someone special. Outside, they're strolling on the train tracks, stargazing. It's been ages since the girl went home, but she said it's cool. The lab's cozy. While chatting, a mysterious light popped up, and it lit up the house they were heading to. The girl was shook. She couldn't believe what was happening. Inside, the light was shining on someone. That's the moment someone becomes a master, and she'd never seen such a stunning light. Like a saint appeared. The boy in the spotlight was Yun. Zion went over to congratulate him, and Kim was super happy too. But the boy shrugged Zion's hand off his shoulder and asked what they were doing there. Kim said he was being rude for no reason, but Zion brushed it off, saying the boy did nothing wrong and he had something for him. It was a piece of the mineral. Zion offered it to the boy. Kim knew how much that meant to Master Zion, but the boy just tossed it away. Leaving Zion stunned, Kim asked what was up with her friend, acting all wild without knowing what it was while he cried alone. She kept working hard because that mineral's super valuable. But a boy asked if it could save his brother. Since this mineral's so awesome, it should do something like that, right? Those words hit Kim hard. She didn't know some wounds can't be healed. While Kim pondered this, Zion went to talk to the boy again. He apologized for what happened but didn't have much else to say. Kim still remembers their faces that day, filled with deep sadness. It's something she can't shake off. That same night, the boy started walking alone. Kim asked where he was headed at that hour. Yun told her he didn't belong there anymore. Had been thinking about everything since his brother's death and came to the only conclusion, asking Zion why his brother had to die. It made no sense to Kim, and after the boy's question, Zion stayed silent. Yun knows his brother died in an explosive attack from the front, but he was way faster than his buddies. So, dude got whacked by something or maybe backstabbed by someone right there. Kim was all, those accusations are whack, the whole world's in danger, and he's treating those masters like they're just decorations. Super annoyed, she nudged Zion to chime in, but when she glanced at him, she saw the master looking all sweaty and stressed. That was enough to flip her mood. Even though Yun's bro went down like a hero, the tributes are kind of pointless cause you know, the dead get forgotten and the living get all the clout. Yun's hoping Master Zion can soak up that fame. After dropping those words, the boy just kept walking into the night. That was the last time Kim saw him. Later, she heard he crossed the sea, but no matter how hard she searched, he was like a ghost. The gate of tragedy left a ton of scars, and people are still dealing with a fallout. While pouring her tea, Kim knows her destiny's tied to that gate. Once again, that mysterious mineral is back in her life. So, the main character's either super lucky or super unlucky. But she's all in to help him. This news got our boy hyped. It's already night, and stuff's going down elsewhere. Some masters are throwing down inside this house. The armored girl takes out all her foes, but after the last one, she realized there's still a long road ahead. As soon as her training wrapped up, her phone buzzed. Someone's trying to reach her. It's our main dude who went to chat with Yuri. He's gotta chill until the Masters War. Yuri's crossing fingers for good vibes. The doc called for our main dude, and since he's gotta bounce, he asked Yuri to tell Rin he's all good. The girl promised to do that, and finally the call ended. Time to dive back into training. She's gotta gear up for the Masters War. A level 5 raid's popping off in Japan. The squad in there is already at the mid-boss. A massive beast. They gotta stay laser focused. But that creature's a real beast. No room for slip-ups. Everyone's in it to win it. While a protective shield's up, masters with bows are hitting the beast, but the shield guy is totally wiped out. At least their plan worked. The difficulty's off the charts. No room for mistakes. After the monster went down, its body started shrinking. Then, in a flash, it seemed to regenerate. The masters are trying to figure out if the creature's got double the tentacles now. As if regenerating wasn't enough, those tentacles are wrapping around the squad. The guy realized it all happened too fast. No time to call for backup, so he's gotta use his shields again, hoping to save his crew. One girl wants to use her special move, but her team's like, nah, too risky. As they fight to survive, they whip out the bows again, but they're already tangled up in the creature's tentacles. The monster's body started morphing, forming a huge cocoon around them. Then everything started shaking, like something wild was happening inside. Finally, the creature's tentacles started popping up from the ground, like they're sprouting. The tentacles spread out, going after the other masters. The old dude among them said if they chop the tentacles, they'll just grow back, and the recon team probably had the same issue. A guy with a shield's trying to hold his ground. He knows he's gotta find the main body to end this. The old man saw a tentacle about to smack the girl on the team, but before disaster struck, someone swooped in to save her. While she's all thankful, the old man told them to keep pushing forward. Only then did the woman realize she was totally surrounded by tentacles, but someone's working some cool magic gadget. It made a big energy cue, trapping those tentacles that popped. Up the shield guy decided to peek back to see what went down. One of his buddies is charging through the tentacles, full of swagger. Among the extras who don't even get colored in this story, there was someone who stood out. His gray hair is proof he's gotta be powerful. The best part of being a standout character is doing epic stuff. Yo, it's wild how the extras just chill in the back watching the action go down. This silver-haired dude's got a plan to solo the monster with his magic cube no cap. He pulls off his move like a pro, and boom, the creature's body just goes kaboom. The old guy's shook cause the mid-boss got wrecked by one dude. Turns out, this young gray-haired guy's a student of Shoei who's a total legend, but to everyone else it's like they're hanging with a beast. The girl runs up to the leader, saying she senses something from below, and the old dude's like, yep, that's the final boss. As soon as the creature pops up, he tells his crew to gear up. It's go time. He also tells the mage to fall back, cause things are about to get real. But the mage just shrugs it off like, nah, I'm good. Even without top-tier genes, he's got skills that make others bow down. When he was taken in, the guy said he's not just treasure, he's a phoenix. Now the boy's facing this massive creature that could make anyone's knees shake. The monster's a real beast, a giant demon. The elder spots that it looks a lot like his squad. Right after he says that, the monster fires an arrow causing a massive shockwave. The elder's like, whoa, that could flatten a mountain. Fighting this powerhouse is pointless. It's a fast track to doom. Knowing it's a tank, he needs the close-range fighters to step 2 up. He tells the mage to listen up, cause going solo is risky, but the mage thinks the elder's clueless. The elder's hand starts glowing as he preps a move. His crew's ready to roll, sneaking around to hit the center. They're all moving in sync now. The elder's plan is to weaken the beast so his team can hit harder. Using their speed, they sneak up on the monster's back. Everyone's in position, launching their attack. The mage is watching everything closely. He remembers when he got his new name, Len, like a flower in the mud. That weird guy told him to stick around as long as he behaved. Back in the fight, the extras are giving it their all, hoping for a comeback next chapter. But they soon see their attacks are useless. The monster's armor is tough as nails, and a huge impact shakes the battlefield. Flashback to the mage's past. The strange guy ordered him to take out everyone behind the boy. A jaw-dropping command. The team's tank just got caught, and things are looking grim for the extras. The mage's mind flashes back to his childhood. All he had to do was look at those people and clench his fist. Now he's a master, ready to face the beast. He doesn't care about anyone there. Time to unleash his special move, Purgatory. The other masters freak out, knowing it's a big deal, and drains a ton of mana. The girl who got saved earlier sees what's going down. The mage's eyes start glowing like crazy. Soon, the creature's body starts blowing up. The monster's in serious pain. The elder's amazed by the power, but he spoke too soon. One of those wild energy balls hits him full on. The girl watching screams in panic. The others are trying to figure out what just happened until one says the leader got hit by the mage's attack. It's not totally fatal, but the old guy might not make it to tomorrow. Len keeps cranking up his power. While his crew's on edge, the spacey girl says they gotta bounce, but the mage needs to pause the attack. One of her friends says that's pointless, cause the move only stops when everything in its path is toast. Back to Len's past, he's leaving, but someone calls out to him. The staff-wielding person is super determined to keep training, but Len's won 32 out of 32 matches. More training's a waste of time. Yoon's all about that grind, ready to keep training like a champ. After a big OL breath, he's back at it, saying he's not throwing in the towel. With his energy recharged, Len's ready to give him another smackdown. That's how Yoon and Len roll. They train like crazy. After some mutual admiration, like two confused kids, they start throwing punches. Len's all, dude, you're using the same moves. But Yoon's like, why fix what's not broken? Since nothing's changed. Len's geared up to hand Yoon another L. Len's magic cube is in action, while Yoon's trying to block it with his energy. Their powers clash, lighting up the place like a fireworks show. When the dust settled, all that was left was a smoky mess. Len noticed Yoon's power-up, and before he knew it, a blade was in his face. After 43 rounds, Yoon finally snagged a win. He told Len, honesty's the best policy, bro. And that was Len's first ever loss. Ouch. Someone was there who was super hyped about it. That weird adult was all about Yoon's skills, saying he's leveling up fast. If Yoon keeps it up, he might be career-bound soon. But Yoon's feeling like he's still got a ways to go, thinking more training's needed. The strange adult said sorry for crashing their session, but he had a reason. The moment had finally arrived whenever Yoon hung out with that weird adult, had come back with a new hair color. And his skills were leveling up, slowly taking the lead. Their training kept going, but Len wasn't much of a challenge anymore. With his hair now totally gray, Yoon's got 45 wins and 44 losses, finally in the lead, giving props to his buddy for the lessons. After that, they shook hands like bros. Len asked if Yoon was heading somewhere. Turns out, Yoon's jetting back to Korea that night. Len's hoping it's a prank, 'cause Yoon promised more training. They got interrupted again by the strange adult, saying the battles would have to chill for a bit. It's Yoon's last day, and he knows it, so he said his goodbyes, promising they'd train again someday. A quick farewell, and that was the last he saw of his friend. Until 5 years later, he got news he never wanted a girl came up, dropping the bombshell. Yoon was gone, and it hit hard. Word was he was taken down by a master named Sung Kong. Hearing this, Len facepalmed, and the girl asked if he was okay. He had to hold it together. Finally getting a grip, he said he was fine. So fine he was losing it, vowing to remember the one who ended his friend. Switching gears, a mysterious machine's collecting samples. The doc's eyeballing the data like a hawk. After the analysis, the computers all nope, invalid. She kinda saw that coming. But the protagonist's clueless. The old lady said the mineral's packing a punch, making the boy think he's stuck. She said, nah, don't think cure. Think better mineral, but one thing's for sure, this boy's got some tough days ahead. Len's finally flying solo after that epic showdown. All that's left is a massive, empty crater. Some techies notice he's the last one standing again, and the newbie's still figuring things out. When he fights, it's like a ghost town, and if they make it, they're out of there soon after. People are usually spooked to work with him, scared of becoming collateral damage. After picking up a pebble, the newbie asked if they tried to off Len, but the older worker said he's too green, and this place is way harsher than he thinks. When there's one survivor, they get all the loot and some folks off their buddies just for greed. Hearing this, the newbie was shook. That kind of stuff can get you locked up, but no one's ever ratted him out, and it's even sketchier, given the tangent level difficulty of that hunt. This is a sign that this master is super skilled, way more than his squad, which is why he's always the last one standing. The rookie started scanning the horizon and spotted something. He dashed off towards whatever he found. The older workers got no clue what he's up to. Amidst the wreckage, there was a survivor, and the rookie yelled for an ambulance. Stat, the older worker, catching up, was totally shook too. Meanwhile, our main dude's out there pumping iron, getting those gains until someone interrupted, asking if he does this every morning. Our guy was stoked to see the doc. She said this hardcore training isn't really for the masters. Sung's like, yeah, it's kind of pointless, but it keeps him chill. The doc figured it's like meditation, and she heard him mention the master's war. Sung, all hyped, confirmed there's just a month left till the showdown. The smartest move for the old lady would be to stop him from joining, given his condition, but the fire in his eyes was intense, and she caught that vibe instantly. So she asked him to follow her, leaving our guy totally puzzled. They headed inside, strolling down the hallway to the basement. Our dude never imagined there was a spot like that in the building, opening a massive metal door. The old lady admitted it's been ages since she last visited. Inside, our guy was blown away. The place is huge, a massive weapons stash. Way bigger than the Master's HQ. Everything he's seen so far is top tier. All he can do now is be totally awestruck. The old lady saw the surprise in his eyes, and he said it's his first time seeing so much cool stuff. Introducing the place, she said she got these materials when she was a craftswoman. They're samples she made and the Master's rented. She's thinking of giving him armor. Confused, he asked if he didn't already have one. But the old lady was like, nah, what you got is trash. She's talking mineral armor. Our boy had never heard of that before. Regular armor gives basic protection, but mineral armor uses the mineral's power for extra synergy. Like if a mage uses it, they can boost their destructive power. The old lady wants to make armor to control his seizures. Not a permanent fix, but ITLL help in battles. Song was super grateful for the help, knowing this armor's super valuable, and he's clueless on how to repay her kindness. As soon as he said kindness, the old lady froze, saying she ain't doing charity. She's already jacked up his bill since the diagnosis. Bummed out, Our boy faced reality again. The old lady assured him he won't have peace till he clears his debt, handing him armor to where he suited up right away. It's first stage model X30, made with super light material. But after putting it on, he wasn't feeling it. The armor looks like it's for a tank, and the old lady reminded him he's a damage dealer. The Masters War kicked off, and duels are already going down in the arena. Everyone's glued to the action. In the crowd, only 2 dudes are sitting. One of them said all the competitors are the same. Thinking about it, he decided to bet on this year's underdog. His nephew said those folks seem talented, but the man's not feeling the fight, as those fighters don't know how to wield their power. They wouldn't last 10 seconds against the elite. It's tough to have high hopes now, but back in the day, there were loads of cool underdogs. The boy's not into this nostalgia, saying things are different now, gotta focus on the present, but his uncle wasn't having it. Thinking the kid doesn't get the Masters, he's talking about the master with no fear, someone who could sell candy in the sketchiest place on earth without a weapon. Compared to past heroes, today's Masters are just kids. They don't stack up to Empress Jie Li, or the revolutionary Ryong, or Emperor Huan, who was super talented. All these legends started as underdogs and rose to fame through epic battles, but the boy noticed his uncle stuck in nostalgia again. The dude's defending his point, saying he's been glued to the Masters War since he was a kid, but lately those epic battles are getting kinda meh. Right now, 2 people are duking it out in the arena. He knows it's a showdown between a tank and a damage dealer. Checking out the gear, the tank's got the upper hand. It's gonna be a total wipeout soon. And the girl in there is getting seriously cornered. Now she's trapped, can't even fight back. It's not worth the guy's time anymore. As he gets up, his nephew's all, "You leaving?" The guy's like, "Match is done, let's grab some grub." But his nephew's like, "Nah, it's still on." And then the girl gets hit with another surprise attack. Boom, a massive explosion goes off right then. And the guy's all, saw that coming. As he starts to bounce, his nephew's glued to the spot. Then, super shocked, he begs his uncle to hang around. The fight's not done yet. Peeking back at the arena, the tank's still throwing punches. Now the guy's really into it, that fighter's going all out, giving it everything. He's getting wiped out and just wants the girl to throw in the towel. The guy who was bored before is now totally hooked. The tank's like, just give up already before he can land another hit. A blinding light flashes in the arena. Everyone's jaws drop. Even the guy who was yawning before the girl who was getting wrecked finally fights back. Yuri's crowned the champ with just one epic move. The announcers saying the next battle's coming up and fighters better be ready. The kid's buzzing, asking if his uncle caught that epic comeback. She was totally losing. But then, bam, she flipped the script. The old dude knows exactly what he saw, and this is the kind of action he lives for. A draw's happening now. The ball that got picked is number 7. Group GS all set, just like the others. After this draw, all the matchups are locked in, and the woman asks what commentator Huang thinks. He reckons this setup will show off the master skills and can't wait for the chaos. The reporter's nodding along, but wants Sung Min's take too. After checking the list, he's sure of one thing. The top spot's gonna change. The reporter's caught off guard. She can't believe Reggie's going down. But the experts got reasons. First up, Reggie's rep gives away all his moves. Second, his age. The Masters peaked between 17 and 23, and he's been over 30 for ages, definitely past his prime. To top it off, renegades and criminals can join this tourney. It's all about proving who's the. Now that the commentators have spoken, the reporter's wrapping up the broadcast. One person watched that super closely. It's that blonde girl, our hero's buddy. Knowing her team's lineup, she's sure they're in deep trouble. Even so, life goes on for Yuri. The next day, she's still doing her chores, and with more people around, the trash is piling up. While she's thinking about it, she hears someone panting nearby. Rin's just back from her morning workout, and they meet outside. Knowing her friend took out the trash, Rin's like, "You should have asked for help," but Yuri's all, "I'm on chore duty. WHYD, you go work out." Rin's all flustered, saying it's no big deal. She quickly bounces, telling Yuri not to worry about the dishes. She'll handle them later. After that quick chat, Yuri heads back inside. She goes straight to the kitchen, ready to tackle the dishes, but before she can start, the phone rings. It's our hero, saying everything's cool, but wants to chat. Sung caught the show yesterday, and there are loads of ranked folks in Rin's area. Our guy's checking if she's good. Remembering the meeting from earlier, Yuri figured the girl's a bit quirky. But still pretty chill. Our main dude got grouped with the super talented Reggie, which just cranks up his stress levels, since it's his first solo battle gig and since he's up against a skilled opponent. He's unsure if Rin will root for him or the other guy. Everyone knows Rin's a huge fan of this dude, and if our guy wins, even by some miracle, it might bum her out, but Yuri's confident that the protagonist doesn't know Rin like she does. The girl will definitely be stoked if he wins. She also thinks his win wouldn't be a miracle cause he's got mad skills. Our boy thanked her for the pep talk, then remembered a package is dropping tomorrow. Yuri was totally puzzled by this info. Some mentioned he scored some mineral armor from the dock, and ordered one for each of his pals, being the good guy he is, but when he called, the old lady said nothing in life is free. Yuri was hyped about this news, cause she knows those materials cost a fortune. Saying their goodbyes, they planned to meet at the War of the Masters. As soon as she hung up, Yuri checked herself out in the mirror. Noticing her hair had grown quite a bit elsewhere, a bunch of tests are going down with a master. The scientists there are all about that data, until a dude showed up saying the War of the Masters candidate list is ready, and he knows loads of prodigies are in. But his boss ain't thrilled. The master, chilling in the middle of all those gadgets, said he's doing great. His sidekick heard the 5th transplant was a win and praised the boss for his epic bod, but the old man keeps teaching this, and the dude said the big day is almost here. The old man started moving in his chair, and he wondered why God would test humans with annihilation. His sidekick was super confused hearing this. Loads of disasters hit humanity, which is being tested by God every time a messiah shows up. People twist their words to keep the suffering going. Now that his power tops a master's, the old man finally got it. Humanity needs saving through 3 challenges. Flexing his power, the ground started shaking, freaking everyone out. The first challenge is to save humanity. The second tests their faith in chaos, until the third brings total despair. Those who beat it all get to live in a brand new world, full of hope. As he unleashed some power, people started passing out, making the place super sketchy. Finally, the old man stopped the pressure. To finish his plan, he needs 2 minerals. The ones Reggie has, and the mineral that ties them all together, the one Sung Kong has. This War of the Masters could kickstart a new era. The War of the Masters is about to go down. Tons of people are packing the arena to watch the showdown. Among them is our protagonist, buzzing with excitement from the crowd. Plus, he's feeling ready to compete. Lately, his boat has been super stable thanks to the dock's hard work. Now he's got to hustle to meet his friends, who are also in on this. Yuri's in District 3, while Rin's in District 1, and the place is swarming with reporters. The protagonist also noticed there are loads of participants. In the middle of all those people, he got totally lost and has no clue where to go, until someone tapped him on the shoulder. Sung turned to see who it was, surprised to find Rin. He asked how she's doing, but got caught off guard by a surprise hug, something he didn't see coming. While this was happening, some folks noticed Sung had arrived. The master of the undefeated team from the last group battle. The reporters are going wild to snap a pic of him in seconds. They swarmed the boy, cameras flashing. Sung and Rin were so shocked by the attention they didn't even know how to pose for the pics. So, the pics turned out super cringe. Rin's eyes were shut, and she was not feeling it. Plus, she was bummed cause the news totally ghosted her. Not even a name drop. Rin switched topics fast, asking if Sung's body was chill, and he spilled that while there's no cure, he can still live his best life. Rin was all, that's lit. Now our main dude's curious about Yuri's whereabouts. Rin said she's chilling in the waiting room down the hall, and Sung's low-key impressed she knows her way around. They hit the waiting room quicker than a TikTok trend. Inside, it's a vibe with a few people, all total legends. Their presence is intense. Everyone's eyes glued to the new arrivals. The protagonist could feel their spooky energy. Even though they were silent, Rin told him to hang tight. The lattice room is elsewhere. But before bouncing, she whispered for Sung to flex his aura and spook the enemies as she dipped. Our boy mulled over her advice, feeling a bit awkward. But then he spotted his first target, a jacked, shirtless dude. This guy looked like he just escaped the world's worst prison. The protagonist decided to steer clear of this dude, until someone rolled up, asking if he was really Sung. The guy was hyped to meet him, saying he'd been waiting for this moment. He was super impressed with Sung's last year's moves. Our boy, a bit shy, thanked him.